Hi, and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with...
Dan.
Chris.
Lee.
You came in too quick then, I didn't get a chance to change the camera. I'm still learning this. Anyway, Formula One.
Yes. Formula One, that's what we're here to talk about, so let's talk about Formula One.
Yeah.
Bahrain weekend just gone.
What a weekend it was as well.
Absolutely.
That is one of the best races that I've seen in Bahrain. That's up there with the 2014 Duel in the Desert.
Yeah. Not quite as good as that one, I didn't think, but definitely up there.
It's up there with it.
Yeah.
And this season is shaping up to be pretty darn good.
We've got a battle between teams. It's what we've wanted.
We've got battles all the way down the field as well. It's not just at the top end, not just for fourth and fifth place. It's all the way down the order. There are battles going to be going on. Season-long battles, hopefully.
I'd also like to point out how well the cars could follow each other and the quality of overtaking. And there wasn't a lack of overtaking.
Plenty of overtaking. Most of it wasn't DRS.
Yeah.
DRS assisted, like we said last week. DRS is assisting. It's not the overtake button.
Yeah.
Like it's not like that push to pass thing that appears so false.
Yeah.
It's DRS is getting them close, and then it's
It's what it was built for.
Yeah. Then they're picking a spot to overtake, which is the right thing. Which, as you say, what it was really designed to do.
Yeah. No DRS passes, but if you were overtaking the McLaren, you probably didn't need fifth.
No.
That was harsh.
True.
Should we go the usual team by team?
Can do.
Let's.
Start at the back
We'll have to start at the back. Well, actually, we'll start in the garage
with Stoffel van
with
Dorn.
Stoffel.
I lost my shit because I thought it was Alonso's car.
Well, it was in Fernando's side of the garage.
Yeah, it was in Alonso's side of the garage, and I forgot that people had numbers.
Yeah.
So I just saw the lowest number McLaren, and my head obviously went, the lowest number of McLaren is obviously going to be Fernando's.
Because in your new world order, everyone will just have a barcode.
Yeah, pretty much. That's in Leland.
Yeah. But
Glory to the Republic.
Okay.
Yeah, I need a video tumbleweed insert, mainly for my lines.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. But it was the MG UK that went wrong, I believe, which was the same problem that Fernando had at the end of Q1.
Didn't he go through three of them over the weekend?
No, he's gone through 3 of them this season so far.
Ah, right.
He's got 1 left and then penalties.
Yeah, and they said they could restart it. They could have restarted the system, but they couldn't have guaranteed that restarting the system would have fixed it, could have damaged it, and other parts of the power unit. So they decided, instead of restarting it, that they were just going to not bother and put the car in the garage until they could work out what was actually wrong with it, rather than...
So if
giving it
they'd
a go.
restarted it, they could have broken it and guaranteed a penalty at the next race.
Yeah.
This way they can possibly not have
And
one.
damaged other parts of the power unit as well.
I mean, the thing is, I suppose if, let's say it was a Red Bull that had happened to, the risk of getting out on the track to score points is worth it.
Yeah.
It's not worth McLaren making a risk. What the risk damaging the car just to send it round in last.
Yeah, that's pretty much what would have happened anyway.
Yeah.
I think Honda have said that there's upgrades coming for Spain that will cure a lot of the problems that they're having.
Yeah, the vibration issues that McLaren have been having, Honda have said it's about a month away.
Yeah,
for fixing it. They know what the issue is. They know how to fix it. They've just got to fix it. But
they say they do. They say they know and they say they can. But they've been saying they know and they can for the last couple of years.
They say they know and they can build an engine for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're solving all these problems by Spain 2014, if I remember right.
Don't look for them at the start of the season, but look for them at the end.
We did.
Yeah, we're still looking.
Yeah, at this point they've stopped developing the engine, started developing a time machine.
Yes.
New series of Doctor Who started this week. Anything's possible.
Yeah, but it's only going to go backwards in time though.
What's like when they had cars that won?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do them.
So Stoffel didn't do too well. Alonso was showing his raciness.
Yeah.
He was. Was it in China? He said he was the fastest guy through the corners, I think, when we had Sean
and
on.
pretty much demonstrated that in Bahrain.
He did, through that twisty section from turn, was it 4 all the way down through to that hairpin before the straight. He was racing cars,
overtaking them.
Yeah, overtaking them. He has the pace through the corners where you don't need to put your foot down. As soon as you get that McLaren Honda on a straight bit of tarmac, it's useless.
Yeah, it's
just got no power at all.
There was a particularly good overtake on Palmer, actually, if I remember rightly, and it was really good because they were following him. You could see Alonso stuck his car in a place that he knew it would make Palmer defend.
Yeah.
And Palmer literally did everything Alonso wanted to do, and then he drove around the outside of him. And you just think like that. That's a fucking racecraft.
Oh, he hasn't forgotten how to
Yeah.
race. But I mean, when you get him coming on the radio and saying, "I've never raced with less power in my life," and things like, what was the conversation where just like we're considering switching to Plan B?
Whatever you want, man.
Yeah, do whatever you want. It's not going to make a blind bit of difference.
Do whatever you want, mate.
No, he said man.
Was
He
it
turned-
man? Oh, I thought it was
Oh,
mate.
turn it to Lewis.
Oh. Because we were thinking that's what we could have called tonight's show. Do whatever you want, mate.
Yeah.
That sounds a bit sexual, and not with the cameras on.
No.
You always you manage to inject smunt into anything.
That sounds a bit sexual.
Oh dear God! But we saw Racing Alonso. Go on, try and get something out of that.
No, you don't tempt him with trying to get anything out of Racy Alonso because he
You
will.
said the word racy in it. Obviously, that's possible. Move on.
Shame he didn't finish.
Yes, but his plan is to race while there's points available, and when he's not going to get the points, retire.
Makes sense.
Hold on to the car bits.
To be perfectly honest, he might as well have a big flashing light over him saying "for sale" and a price tag somewhere on his overalls.
Yeah, we'll get to the news section because there are maybe rumbling rumours that talks
Crazy
might...
Nando, crazy deals.
Well, that's it. Maybe maybe some talks might have taken place over the weekend considering Fernando's future in the sport, but we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah, there is definitely more to come on that. Just want to say Paul Simon, not that one, just on YouTube. he did say mate.
Did he?
Yeah.
Hello,
I'm sure he did.
Paul, my
Paul's
old
wrong.
friend. He's YouTubing with us again.
Save the singing. We've got Who's a Total Shunt coming up later.
I know.
Right, next up the list we have Toro Rosso.
Disappointing for them.
It was.
They looked really good, didn't they, at the beginning of the season? And as you know, in Australia they looked quite strong. Less strong in China, and even less strong in Bahrain.
They're Toro Rosso again, aren't they?
They are. We spoke about them perhaps challenging Red Bull at times and maybe being the head of the midfield. They're not.
Yeah.
Quite simply, they were doing all right.
Yeah, Danny Kvyat is looking very, very racy.
Yeah, he can. We like happy Kvyat. Kvyat who wants to fight for position.
He's showing why he was given the Red Bull drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Carlos Sainz was doing okay until
He drove like an idiot.
until he drove like Esteban Gutierrez.
Until he drove like Pastor Maldonado.
Pastor Maldonado into Esteban Gutierrez, actually, yeah.
Oh,
quite
what
right.
happened?
Yeah, what happened?
He's had
So Lance Stroll knew exactly what happened
Yeah.
Did you see the pit interview with him?
with Lance Stroll.
Yeah.
Where he's a petulant child.
He comes across as being a fucking twat, doesn't he?
He had just been taken out of the
Yeah,
race.
no, that's fine. Be angry. Don't be, not fair.
Well, it's not fair. He's not had the chance to finish a race yet. As Chris pointed out during the race, he's had one pit stop.
Yeah.
Angry eyebrows.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't make him angry.
No.
the Strulk.
Yeah. I think he might be Lou Ferrigno's love child.
But that means he'd just be wearing lots of ripped Tommy Hilfiger clothes.
Yeah, just turn around. Say, don't make me angry. Why will you turn green? No, I'll get Daddy to kill you.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did notice this when he came in for his pit stop. There was three of us sat doing the live blog. It was like that is the first time he's stopped, isn't it? He got that right. So
Yeah.
we now know he can make a pit stop.
Yeah.
Which
Way.
well, he's never got that far before.
Sign of a true Formula One driver. He can drive into a small space without killing a load of mechanics.
Schumacher didn't always do that.
He didn't always do it.
But yeah, Stroll was actually looking pretty good until Sainz just wiped him out. Sainz has ended up with a 3-place grid penalty, and
Yeah.
I think he's got 2 points.
3, is it
yeah.
not 5?
No, it's 3.
Yeah, 3 point. Yeah, 3 place grid drop for Russia.
What a weird grid drop.
3. Yeah. I mean,
Causing a racing incident?
Stroll said he absolutely no way he could have seen him going into that corner, and he was so far ahead of him. And when you looked at the replays, at first I was like, "Oh, that's a bit sort of
Yeah.
half a dozen of one, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other." And then I looked at it again. I thought, no, because Carlos Sainz wasn't going to even get around the corner at that angle.
No. I think
I don't know what he was thinking.
I think there's an argument to be made that maybe if it and this isn't saying it's Stroll's fault, 'cause it's clearly not. But if it would have been somebody else, they might have had the
Sainz
wherewithal.
might have shown more respect, and
and they might have had the wherewithal to give
the
some
experience to say, "Holy crap, there's an idiot coming
room.
up here."
Yeah. Bastard.
I've just passed that car coming out of the pits. I'll take a slightly wider line
Yeah.
into turn 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, it just didn't work out. I mean,
he'll learn. He will.
Yeah, he may even finish a race one day.
Let's hope so.
But yeah, Sainz.
Quite funny if he didn't all season.
Yeah, Sainz,
Honest.
Sainz was looking good up until that point,
Yeah,
and then just threw it.
pretty much.
Yeah. Sauber.
Just quickly, remember what I was saying about Sainz about being stuck in a team, that when he wanted to leave the team and how
Yeah.
he's going to get frustrated. I'm just going to keep bringing that up when things like this keep happening.
I think he was trying desperately to be ahead of the Williams
Yeah.
so that he looked good for anyone who might be in the
Yeah.
market for a driver.
I think so.
And
He's
failed.
not a happy man in that team. You can see
No, he's not. He doesn't want to be stuck there forever, does he?
glorious hair.
Yeah. Just like his dad. His dad had good hair as well.
Yes, yeah.
Does he not still have good hair?
He's aged a little now. He's not quite rally driver
Yeah.
Carlos Sainz anymore, and he's,
Yeah.
he's sensible.
Bank manager.
Yeah, bank manager haircut.
Yeah.
Carlos Sainz Senior.
Bank manager that still does the Dakar rally though.
I think does he still do Dakar? Does he?
I'm
Oh,
pretty sure.
brilliant!
I've seen a photo of him doing the Dakar from the last couple of years.
Oh,
That's
excellent.
the Paris Dakar rally that's now in South America.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they can't
We
drive to
can't,
Dakar.
we can't drive to
anymore.
Dakar because you'll get shot.
Yes.
Doesn't that just make it more extreme, or have Red Bull taken that over now?
Well, funnily
Yeah,
enough,
it
it's got
is-
all the sponsorship on Carlos Sainz Senior's Dakar car.
Yeah. Absolutely. Sauber.
Sauber, yes. Ericsson, meh.
He pulled out just before the end, didn't he?
Yeah, something let go and he just sort of ground to a halt. I think the money ran out or something.
I tell you what,
Yeah, 'cause we thought he might get
Verline stuck
fuel.
me in my place, didn't he?
Tell you
Yeah.
what, Pascal Wehrlein, we said last week, well, he's not going to be fit for Bahrain. If you're not fit 6 days earlier, you're not you're not suddenly going to be fit.
He did well.
He did very well.
He
Yeah.
showed what predicting skills the Three Legs Four Wheels team have.
Yes.
Well, we've ribbed him, and so
I
have
won
other.
20 quid.
Very good. How?
On Vettel. I bet on Vettel, didn't I?
Oh, excellent.
We're not covering that part of the grid yet.
All right, okay. Sorry.
Would-
Spoiler.
But yeah, Princess
won money.
Pascal. We've been
Talking of race spoilers, I inadvertently managed to do a spoiler for Gemma earlier because she only got to watch the race this afternoon.
Oops.
And I mentioned about the Sainz and Stroll crash before she'd seen it.
Joker.
Sorry, Gemma.
Yeah, no,
I don't know you're watching because I've seen you commenting.
We've been pretty horrible to Princess Pascal by calling him Princess Pascal, and other media outlets as well have questioned his integrity when it comes to racing. He came back in Bahrain and showed us exactly why he should be in Formula One.
Yeah. He was.
He was on a slightly odd strategy.
Yeah.
He only stopped once, and he finished
just
11th.
got on with it. Yeah.
He finished like if one more person had dropped out of the top 10, we'd be praising Pascal score points.
But let's not forget that there was a lot of cars dropped out, and every
There
car
were a
that dropped
lot.
out would have been in front of him.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
so-
but I mean,
you've
got to
be
finish.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to finish first you got to finish. And
Oh,
to finish
see-
in the points, you
But
got
we
to
saw
finish.
Verline scrapping with Alonso as well at times, and don't forget that Sauber is running last year's Ferrari engine as well.
Yeah.
That car is just going to do what last year Toro Rosso did and just go backwards. By the end of the season, they'll
I think we'll see it more in the Sauber this year because they don't have the development budget that Toro Rosso had to fix other areas of the car to
Yeah.
compensate for a less
And
powerful
because the
engine.
other cars or the other engine manufacturers are free to do as much development as they want, so they're going to go forward faster.
Yeah, it's going to hurt Sauber a lot later in the season. So if they are going to score points, they do need to pick them up in races like we've just seen, where a lot of cars retire. Pascal Wehrlein did very well to finish in 11th
Well, to be
place.
fair, he should beat Ericsson because,
He should be Ericsson.
as we've
and-
said for a while, Ericsson is probably the weakest driver on the grid.
Yeah, but I mean, look, Pascal Wehrlein got that
Excuse me.
Sauber into Q2.
Yeah.
Giovinazzi did in China,
Yeah.
but then you've got Sean said last week Marcus Ericsson was putting laps in Australia, which very very consistent laps, like a professional racing driver would.
Yeah.
So Marcus Ericsson's obviously of a caliber of driver, lucky enough to be in Formula One.
Yeah, he's there, but I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to be there. I'm just saying if you stuck all the names from Alonso to Ericsson,
Yeah,
it
Ericsson's
would
at the
be
bottom.
from
Yeah.
Alonso to Ericsson.
Yeah, and you would put, Pascal Wehrlein has put himself rightfully up above
Yeah.
his teammate.
Tell you what, though, he was a pure cock to Martin Brundle on the grid walk.
I think I missed that.
Yeah.
Everyone seemed to be a pure cock to Martin Brundle on the grid walks. He didn't actually manage to talk to anyone.
Did he?
No.
Nico Hülkenberg.
Yeah,
I think.
He
Nico
got
was
Hulkenberg,
nice.
but he got blanked by Naomi Campbell. Sainz just walked past him without even acknowledging he was there.
I worked out as well. Nico Hülkenberg is Germany's Button.
Germany's Button.
Yeah.
He'll be champion one day.
He's the nice driver that you always go, if he had the car, he'd do it.
Yeah, fair enough.
So your next cat's going to be called Nico.
Hulkenberg,
Yeah. But just Hulk.
The Hulk.
Yeah.
not Nico.
No.
Definitely not Nico.
I was waiting for you to bite on that one. Wehrlein actually said he was surprised by his levels of fitness for the race.
Yeah, but you can still feel that back injury apparently.
Yeah, he was in FP2. He was getting out of the car very tentatively. Not as tentatively as Stroll was getting out of his Williams when he claimed that something was burning.
Yeah, his undercarriage.
Yeah,
should we say?
yes. His
And
gentleman,
not the floor.
his
No.
gentleman's area was slightly warm at the end of FP2. So
Do you think he turned around and said, like, no, do you want us to fix the problem? He said, no, I'll just put my wallet in my back pocket.
Yeah.
we were wondering if we were going to get back to last season's debate about minty underpants again.
Minty,
Which
we had
driver
a debate
was
about
it?
minty
Was-
underpants? I can't remember this.
Was it Nigel Mansell who had hot fuel leaking into the cockpit whilst he was driving for Lotus?
Yes.
And he still finished the race, but with severe burns.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, there was a couple of drivers last season. I think Hulkenberg was one, and it might have been Grosjean that was another. Were wearing special cooling pants with menthol oil in them.
Oh, that was at one race, wasn't it?
Yeah,
That's got to be dangerous.
I mean you get that in the wrong area. Any
It's
bloke
gonna
who's
sting,
ever used
man.
mint shower gel knows.
Yeah.
Mint and tea tree.
It wakes you up.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's how.
Or mix like the Aquafresh up with moisturiser.
There's a story here.
No, it's really not. David Coulthard, moving swiftly on, raced in the same pair of underpants for his whole career. It was his
Lucky pants?
Lucky pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you washed them.
I hope he didn't.
No one wanted to talk to DC on the grid. I'm not talking to him, he stinks.
That's why Schumacher at Belgium only got so close before when he was trying to punch him.
Yeah.
He just got that. Whoa!
Just opened, DC just opened his overalls. No, I don't think so, Michael. Oh no.
Oh dear God. Moving on. Definitely moving on. Haas.
Yeah.
We have K-Mag.
Disappointment. He was the first one to set a flying lap in Q1 on Saturday, and it looked like a quite decent time. That was quite good. And then he didn't improve, and he ended up last. Ended up 20th out of 20. And then we thought, well, maybe he'll improve during the race, and he didn't, and then retired. So, not to bash the Scandinavians too much, Daniel, but
Now there's a 10-second lag on the feed to YouTube, so I'm just waiting those 10 seconds.
If Ericsson is there,
If Ericsson is at this level,
is Magnussen. Yeah. Because at least Stroll's
Magnussen's got a podium.
At least Stroll's got the potential to be better.
Yeah, but he
Magnussen
must never
is
unlock that potential. As
What?
soon as you unlock your potential, that's it. Everything's over. Just keep hold of it. Always have potential.
Just keep it
never
in the
release
back
it.
But like Hulkenberg.
Yeah, like Hulkenberg. Never release your potential. Just keep it in that back pocket.
But he did release his potential in Le Mans because he won it on his own on a skateboard going backwards.
Barrichello released his potential.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Barrichello must be the next Ayrton Senna. I remember Murray Walker saying once.
Nope.
No.
Better talk about Grosjean then, because he actually...
Grosjean was a shining
Barely
light.
the next 1993 Ayrton Senna.
Yes.
Grosjean's points then.
Grosjean actually
Yeah,
scored
Grosjean
points.
did well.
He did. He did complain once about brake failures, to which got a 4-way reply in the Three Legs Four Wheels blogging room. He's always complaining about brake
Yeah,
problems.
but to be fair, he
they
had
keep
like
breaking.
Yeah, yes. He had, at the end of last season, he had like 3 brake failures
Yeah.
in consecutive Grand Prix. So if he thinks the brakes maybe don't feel completely right, I would also be on the radio being like, "Oh, help! The brakes don't feel so good. I don't want to crash again."
Maybe I'm just sort of spitballing with this one. Maybe he just always complains about brake failures, and it's just that there's been times when he's been right.
But yeah, what?
The
No,
stop
it's-
clock theory.
Yeah.
They're actually changing the brakes. They're going from Carbon Industry to Brembo, or Brembo to Carbon Industry. I can't remember what it is.
yeah.
You don't do that just because your driver's like paranoid.
Yeah, they've done tests and things, haven't they? But the I think the engineer did eventually come back on and say, everything looks okay,
Well,
Roman.
has to do NASCAR, yeah? Do they do Indy as well?
No,
Well,
just NASCAR. I
it's-
think.
Well,
With-
NASCAR don't have brakes.
With
Well,
Stuart
they
Haas.
use them once after every 200 laps.
No, the brake is the car in front of them.
Oh right, okay.
So that's why they're not used to brakes. They're trying to work out what the extra pedal was for. Clutch. You have a foot clutch in a Formula One car.
No, they do usable hands now.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with an Indy car, there's a pedal to make it go, and
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
and a button to make it stop.
Pedal to make it go, and a redneck
That's definitely more
to make
NASCAR,
it
isn't
go.
But yeah, no, great performance from Romain Grosjean. Got through to Q3 in qualifying and also managed to score points by the end of the race. I think he didn't. I think he just lost out to Sergio Perez, didn't he, in 7th? So that was actually a pretty strong performance from Romain Grosjean.
Do you think Roman, if he can keep going this year as he's doing, without making stupid mistakes, and let's face like his qualifying lap was second only, qualifying star of qualifying was second only to Hulkenberg. He overput in his car where it shouldn't be. So, is he getting towards the point of where you think actually he might be worth a punt for a proper team?
Who, Grosjean? Possibly. I mean, he always said when he went to Haas that he was going to Haas with a view of taking a Ferrari seat at some point.
See, I don't think that's in his future.
Not currently. He would have to put performances like that in consistently through the rest of the
Yeah.
season. And I think Romain Grosjean's main problem throughout his career has been inconsistency. He's not able to put those performances in week after week after week.
Yeah.
I mean, you're always going to get a stellar performance from a driver once a season, for example, or
Yeah.
certain conditions that drivers just tend to favour.
But he's been steady this year.
Yeah, but there's
so
nothing
far.
special about Romain Grosjean. Do you know what I mean? He's not. He
But,
doesn't
well-
have a condition that sort of suits him more than any other, and he doesn't ever have a race where he's. He doesn't ever have like a blocker, for example, like 5
Yeah.
races where you go, oh, he's done well in these last 5 races. There's always 2 races he's terrible.
No, that's what I mean. If he keeps going and he keeps going consistently, because by saying there's nothing special about him, I think that might be giving that car more credit than it actually deserves. Because
I
if
see what
that,
you mean, yeah.
if that Haas isn't that good, then what he did this weekend is special.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but
So,
he needs to be.
Yeah, we don't know.
He needs to be consistently, like he has been.
Yeah.
So far this season.
Marcus Ericsson's consistently special.
Consistently rubbish.
It's amazing how we can always get it back to Scandinavian bashing.
Oh yeah.
Also, did
Hiya,
anyone
Peter.
spot K-Mag with? Did he have his Draco Malfoy hair again this week with his slick back
Who?
blonde? Your man out of Harry Potter. Did he
No,
have it?
no, I know Draco Malfoy.
K-Mag, did he not have his slick back blonde hair?
Oh, I'm not sure. He just looks fucking weird. Like, just in general. What did we say yesterday? A white frog, or last week? A frog? What
Something
frog?
like that. Albino frog.
Albino frog.
Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah,
to
I
the
think
next
I think
team.
we'll move on from that.
Well, he looks a bit like a Lego man as well. Especially, like, remember when he, if you imagine him in his old overalls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
fair
Anyway,
You're
enough.
only saying that because he's Danish.
didn't say look like bacon, did I? That's because bacon's useful.
yeah,
Carry on.
but wasn't Ron Dennis pimping him round to all the bacon companies in Denmark to
And
get
Lego.
sponsorship?
Bacon and Lego,
And
yeah.
Lego.
Yeah, that didn't work as well as it could have done.
No.
The Lego McLaren. I bet they could swap parts for Lego now.
Hey, those Lego engines used to be great when I was a kid because you could like power boats with them and
Yeah.
everything.
Formula One car with one of those little propellers on the back of it.
Renault then. What have we got? Palmer 13th.
13th out of 13 finishes.
Yeah.
Great performance in qualifying though. To manage to get through to both Renaults to get through to Q3, I thought was quite special.
And Palmer, again, he looked like he was driving the wheels off the car.
Yeah, I mean, he made
was
a couple of
get-
mistakes. We saw him run wide a couple of times.
Yeah, but he was getting involved in all sorts of battles and not just being overtaken.
No, he was being overtaken quite because I think he finished
But,
last
but
of all the
not
runners.
just being
Yeah.
overtaken.
Yeah, he was battling with the Saubers and the McLarens. Really, we kind of want a little bit more from Renault. But I mean, Renault.
It's on its way up, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as I said last week, they might win the development race as the season continues. As the season goes on, with them being like a de facto, well, not even de facto, they're full on works team. They have the money behind them, and now that the teams are allowed to develop the engines whenever they want,
Yeah.
I would expect Renault to be closer to the front
And you've got to think as well that
by the end of the season.
the fact that even more so than the Red Bull and Toro Rosso, that lump is designed to go in the back of that car.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
any advantage that they get through any engine upgrades, you'd think, oh, fair enough, they're further back, but they're going to get a bigger return on what
Yeah.
comes to them.
Yeah, I actually think Renault could be taking the fight to for fourth behind the top three teams by
Maybe not this year.
No, I think they could.
I'd
by-
like it to.
But I was going to say probably by the time we go to not mid-season break, but
Yeah.
maybe like the last upgrade you get before the flyaway races could well be there for fourth.
I would be surprised, but
We'll see.
who knows?
Do you think it's played against Palmer a little bit because people have always said that he takes he needs to get warmed up. It's not him. It's not ever him in the first season. It's him in the second season sort of situation.
And so far, the car's let him down most of this season.
But the problem is he's got two first seasons now with the new era regs.
I know what
Yeah,
you mean.
yeah.
Yeah, because
So,
everything's changed. And
Yeah,
he
yeah.
managed to get used to everything by the end of the season last year.
I think we might see him improving a lot
Yeah,
towards the end of the year.
his season's looking very similar to last year.
I mean, I don't know whether he'd stay at Renault, but I mean, he's not doing himself any
Favors.
well, no, he's not doing himself any harm by driving as he's driving at the moment.
Do you
Uh,
think when
no,
your
not really.
teammates that far down the road?
No, I think he's doing okay at the moment. He
I
needs
don't
to be-
know.
the car's let him down most of the season. That's what you got to remember. It's not been.
I
his
just
fault.
wonder how many people see that and they just see the fact that Hulkenberg is outperforming the car.
When you think before as well,
Yeah.
qualifying on Saturday, there was murmurs that Palmer's car has to be rebuilt, or
Yeah.
a certain part of his car had to be rebuilt, and they weren't sure whether they could get it ready for qualifying. So Palmer may not have qualified, and he put it 10th.
Yeah. No,
So-
no, his qualifying performance was great, and I thought, right, he's back here. This is good. He's going to have a really good race on Sunday.
And he didn't.
And he didn't.
No.
It's a shame 'cause I really like Palmer. I don't want him to go anywhere, but I do. I think he's going to, halfway through the season, we're going to be looking at when he's sacked and not if.
Yeah.
But didn't we say this last season?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, but that was before Renault was Renault.
Because we were saying all last year that he's only there by default because he'd signed the contract when they were with Lotus and he was still bringing
Yeah,
the,
well, he sort of
the
signed
money
it.
in, and then there was nobody else to replace him this year.
he was
Yeah,
the fifth choice driver
um,
for that seat.
Yeah. But don't forget, like last year when we were talking about it, it was still Lotus, wasn't it, or Lotus Renault, wherever the team was that happened to have it. It wasn't full fat Renault.
Yeah.
Whereas this is the first season of full fat Renault.
Full fat Renault don't need Palmer's money.
No.
No, that is true. There is one thing that's come out with Palmer today. The what was being called NASA Gate on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, we think it was Felipe Nassa's Twitter account being hacked.
I look at things on Twitter called NASAgate, but it usually involves like bubbles coming out of spacesuits and.
This is NASR
Right.
Gate.
Okay.
As in Felipe Nasser, the
Yeah.
Formula One
Fred
driver.
Nasser.
Right.
From Sauber last year.
Yeah, basically what happened was Renault put a tweet up with a video of an interview with Nico Hülkenberg. And he was talking through his race and being happy to have scored points, which we haven't got to yet.
Yeah. No, not yet.
And somebody looks like they've hacked Felipe Nasser's Twitter account because it was the official one with the blue tick that replied, WTF is Palmer doing in the car? He's terrible. Get him out. Get Felipe Nasser in. And then the same message appeared on about 30 or 40 other Twitter accounts from different people.
Imagine the board meeting that does that would it be involved there? You sat around a Renault board.
Hang on,
saying,
Felipe Nasser just tweeted us. Should we reconsider this?
Should we sack our massively average Formula One driver and employ another massively average Formula One driver?
And also,
Now, I don't know how average NASA was.
also poor hacking skills as well to copy and paste the same message.
I know, yeah.
Come on, if you had access to 30 or 40 Twitter accounts, surely you'd start
Exactly.
false conversations with yourself.
Yeah, and why would you
Don't advocate this at all whatsoever, by the way. Don't hack people's Twitters.
do it now? And
Don't do it, ever.
is it as if you're like at yourself within the tweet?
Yeah, you're like tweeting one another account that you've hacked and then responding. And then,
No. Like in the one he sent to Renault, it was like WTF is he in blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Get at Felipe Nasser.
Oh, right.
He'd have said me.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was kind of what gave it away to me that it wasn't him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Nico Hülkenberg though.
Yeah, points.
Done all right.
Yeah, first points for Renault for the season, 9th place.
Was running 5th in qualifying at one point.
We always have Hulk's 5th watch,
Yes, we do.
and at every point in a race, Hulk will be in 5th at some stage.
Yeah.
He may not stay there.
No, but he'll be there.
He'll be. In
I did it
5th.
on Saturday.
He did it on Saturday. That went in capital letters on the live blog.
Yes, it did.
Which now apparently this season qualifying live blogs is a thing.
Yes.
Right, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, so if you guys watch qualifying, you want to join in qualifying chat, Paul does the qualifying live blogs. I will probably join in later in the season.
You're going to have to for Brazil because I'm in Wales.
Well, then I'll be doing a Brazilian one by myself.
Well, qualifying blogs are really good, aren't they? Because like, if there's anything you can keep up with just through like a steady stream of text, it's qualifying. You know,
Yeah.
if you can't get to a television.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing the God's work. It's great.
Yeah, I'm just sat there with 2 laptops in front of me. A bit like tonight, but no mixer.
Yes.
Yeah, but at least we're down to 2 laptops this week. There's one,
Tweet on one,
one that you
porn
can
on
see
the
there,
other.
and- no, that's recording. I hope it's not recording porn. Oh God, have I linked it up into your
We don't
internet download?
we don't record porn anymore, Paul. Come on, Grandad.
Everything's streaming nowadays.
I've still got my Betamax and I'm happy.
Betamax. Now that's a
No.
strange search.
No, we are here to talk about Hulkenberg getting points and having a good performance.
Well, the Hulk finished, was it 9th, I think? in the
It
end?
was 9th in the end.
So a couple of points for Nico Hülkenberg. It's looking promising for Renault, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they develop as the season goes on. As I say, I think they'll be one of the teams that develops very, very well throughout the season. Looked like you had lightning flash on your face then, Paul, from
yeah,
the reflection I saw on the laptop.
the display on the video laptop just decided to go completely crazy and start flashing at me.
Are we still live?
We are still live. I can still see things happening on YouTube.
Hello, people.
That was very strange. Right, nothing stopped working. I
That's
think
fine.
the other graphics card has finally kicked in on this computer because it's got 2 and they're meant to work in tandem with each other.
Right.
For those people listening
It
to the
does.
podcast, this is entirely pointless part of the podcast for you. But we are live on YouTube.
Even YouTubers are commenting, "What a wild laptop!" Yes, it is.
Yes. Did they see that as well?
Yes, they saw it as well because it just so happened that I was using the camera behind me and it was focusing on the screen, having a flashing moment and going mad.
We're really sorry if any of the viewers are epileptic.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put one of those warning contains flashing images messages up before we start the live stream in future. Right, so we'll move on to Williams now anyway. They're next on the list.
We're kind of already touched on what happened to Lance Stroll.
You got
Well,
torpedoed.
Sainz did more than touch on Stroll.
Well, yeah, he completely... I mean, the side of that Williams was a
Lee,
wreck.
stop it.
I just smiled.
But yeah, the side of that Williams car was a complete wreck, and not really the way that Frank Williams would have wanted to see one of his cars finish on the weekend of his 75th birthday. So, of course, happy birthday
birthday,
to Frank,
Mr. Williams.
To Frank
Yeah.
Williams. 75. Doing well.
He's not doing bad. It just leaves you to wonder who is going to be in charge of the team when Claire Williams gives birth. She says she's not taking any time off.
Yeah.
But her due date is on the day of a race. That could
Paddy
be
Lowe.
interesting.
Paddy. Here you go. Paddy Lowe's been very low key, hasn't he, since
Yes.
he took over?
Paddy Lowe joins the team. She gets pregnant.
Ooh, conspiracy.
I know you like your conspiracy theories, but for crying out loud.
Paddy went low.
Oh dear.
Oh dear God. How do you follow that? Massa 6th. Nothing bad. Nothing good. Just
Tell you what, it was the
workmanlike.
Yeah, somebody put up on Twitter earlier on today. You've got to applaud Felipe Massa for doing the job he's done so far this season. He's for somebody
Yeah.
who's supposed to be. I think David Croft put it on Sunday. Somebody who's supposed to be sat at home eating Easter eggs.
Yeah.
He did pretty well.
Makes you wonder how
Yeah.
good the car is, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because like we've not.
Well, Massa's not one to overdrive the
No.
car, is he? Do you know what I mean? Like, Massa's not normally the kind of driver who would take a car that's not perfect
and to be
and
fair,
make it. He didn't do an Alonso to the car.
No,
so
no.
He doesn't outrace them.
but to be fair, he's not the sort of driver either, which generally gets the maximum out of what he's given either. So it suggests to me that, with all due respect to Massa, there's probably still a little bit left in that car.
And
Yeah.
with Lance Stroll being as unfortunate as he's been,
Williams have fucked it. Like they've got,
Yeah,
they've
yeah.
got a one-man team.
yeah, and,
Yeah, it's-
and Massa being, probably this is going to be. Let's be honest, this is probably just going to be his last year, isn't it? He's back out of retirement just to help them until Bottas comes back when he gets fired at the end of this season.
Yeah, just quoting back to what started the spoiler with Gemma earlier. She sent in a tweet saying, "Do you think Massa's going to have to see a good chiropractor with carrying the weight of the entire Williams team on his back?"
No, that's the sort of
That's
thing.
good.
That's the sort of thing you need an osteopath for. But yeah, do you know what? Right, in a ideal world, they had a different driver in that Williams, or Valtteri Bottas was there, instead of Stroll. How much of a good, nice surprise would this season have been for Williams when they went into the season expecting very little, and they've ended up with a pretty quick Formula One car, that should be regular point scorer.
Yeah.
And if the wind's in its favour, that's the car. If something happens to a couple in front of it, like to a Mercedes and a Ferrari or
podium.
something, that could
Yeah.
be a podium.
Yeah.
Because I think that car could race the Red Bulls more than it's doing.
Quite possibly. I mean, it could
No.
be quite a good Williams.
It's definitely a good car.
Did see Rob Smedley at one point taking his headphones off and shaking his head. Don't know what that was for, but he was just sat on the pit wall and he took his headphones off, shook his head.
Sweaty ears.
He was listening to Lee.
Hey, I'm always in the camp of Smedley. I've defended Smedley while others have berated him on this podcast.
Yes, I have been guilty of the berating of Rob Smedley. Yeah. Smedley makes a call, it's usually the wrong one.
But to be perfectly honest, apart from Jensen Button, Smedley might be the only person I've stuck up for since we started doing this.
Well, there was no. I've got nothing.
No.
So yeah.
Well, Alonso's always got a soft spot in my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if anybody else had said that remark, he would have followed it up with something else.
Yeah. But we know better.
Yes.
What? How? What? No, that was nice.
You would have said something that would make us take our headphones off and shake our heads.
No, I like him because he ridded us of a Schumacher era.
which is fair enough.
Which is fair enough, but yeah, no, you'd have come back with some reply which was the opposite of soft spot, shall we say?
Even as an ardent Formula One fan, as I have been since the early '90s, I must admit there were times when Formula One was just a background noise on a Sunday when it was the Schumacher era.
Yeah,
It was on, but I wasn't watching it. That's just the case as it was. And Alonso, as you say, was
the
man-
saviour.
Yeah, was the saviour of Formula One.
Have I told you this story before?
I
I don't know because you've not started telling us
Well,
yet.
it's good point. Well, we've got like thousands more listeners now, so I'll.
Let me just take the tinfoil off and then I'll see.
But I had years ago, we'll say 1999.
Did you have a party?
No,
Oh.
it was right in the heart of the Schumacher era.
Okay.
Yeah, where he was just winning fucking everything. And I can't remember what race it was, but I had a particularly bad allergic reaction to something, and I was sat watching the thing with my dad, and I could feel that horrible cold, clammy sweat. I'm only probably 20, something like that, 19, 20 at this point.
Right.
And I remember saying to Dad, I don't feel well. Schumacher's belting around the circuits. I don't feel good. Went to get up and collapsed. And then I went to get up because I went to go to the toilet because the race had finished. And then I said to my dad, I really don't feel well. And we ended up calling an ambulance. And this just shows what my head is like and where my priorities were. Because not thinking about my girlfriend at the time, not thinking about my family, I sat there thinking, can't believe I'm going to die watching Schumacher win a race.
It's strange what your brain thinks.
It is.
Many years ago...
I didn't die,
no,
by the way.
No, you didn't.
Spoiler.
Many years ago, when I was a child, I foolishly tried to collect a football off a mobile classroom roof. There's sort of prefab buildings that stick on fields, and I fell off and I cracked my head quite badly on the curb in between the playground and the.
You can
and
hardly
the field.
notice the lazy eye now.
But yeah, I knocked myself unconscious, and an ambulance was called, and I vaguely remember being sort of trolleyed along the playground on this stretcher, and then it was in the ambulance, and I remember just thinking, I wonder what time it is. I wonder if break time is over yet. and I looked at my watch thinking, I've got to get back to school. Break time is over. And I'm in a hospital, an ambulance with a respirator on, and if you rush to hospital, very strange what your brain can think.
Well, we're in our medical interlude. You ever nearly died, Dan?
I have not, no.
But Fernando Alonso thought it was 1994, didn't he, when he came round from his shocking accident in Spain that time?
Ever nearly died, Paul?
No, I really couldn't say I have had any kind of near-death experience.
That's one of my 2 near-death experiences. I'll put the other one on the Patreon podcast.
Paywall.
I like
it.
what you're doing there. So is tonight's Patreon podcast going to be called Chris Flood's Near-Death Paywall?
Yeah.
Paywall of death.
Paywall. We thought it at the same time. You just said it slightly earlier.
We've been spending way too much time together.
Anyway, back to the Bahrain Grand Prix
Yes.
when nobody did anything like that.
No,
thankfully.
Force India up next. The Pink Panthers, as they are now calling themselves on Twitter.
Are they? Call
Yes.
themselves the Pink Panthers?
Yeah, every tweet they do, it's hashtag Pink Panthers.
Have you noticed as well, it's like a matte colour as well, like the Red Bull. It's not like a shiny pink.
I think it's secretly one of the nicest cars on the grid.
Not so convinced.
I think it's great.
But also, kudos to Force India for getting both cars in the points and taking 4th in the
Yeah.
championship.
The car isn't good enough for that.
No, it is not. It's massively overweight, apparently.
We have got two drivers there that are the dictionary definition of outdriving the car this year.
I don't think they are. I think the problem is, well, not the problem, but what you're seeing is like the a reverse Mercedes car, because it's shit at qualifying, which is where I think the extra weight might be really dragging
Hampering
it
them,
down.
yeah.
But maybe the extra weight during a race is making that car more predictable.
Yeah, sorry, just want to interject with a YouTube comment.
Go
Come
for
on.
it.
I like the Pink Panthers better than the unnecessary vagina references.
Who's come up with that?
Jana.
Hi, Jana. But yeah, no, that's a very, very good point, actually. But the Force India Perez got caught out in qualifying. He went out in Q1. I think he was 18th. And I said at the beginning of the race, for anyone who was watching the live blog, I said that Perez would be one to watch. I expect him to go long in his first stint, maybe make a one-stopper, and then put the quick tyres on at the end, and show us a bit of racing. Didn't have to do any of that because he made up loads of places with that safety car. And to finish 7th is just typical of Sergio Perez, and the way he drives, just sort of slides through, but not in a spectacular Max Verstappen, I'm going to overtake all the cars on one lap way. Just calmly, carefully gets on with it, and it was great to see Sergio Perez finish 7th. And again, Esteban Ocon is at a circuit that he actually knows this time because of the old GP2 days and with Esteban Ocon racing in Bahrain. 10th. Another point for him, so he's doing the right thing.
I think this shows a lot about Ocon's ability, because a car that is, it's far better than Perez's qualifying position said, but that was a strategy call during Q1 because they just sent him out at the wrong time and he got caught up in traffic, and just couldn't put the lap in, but. With Ocon managing to get it round into the points as well, that is just a fantastic drive. There's a lot of potential in that guy.
Ocon has a massive potential in this year, because I'll be interested to see how it goes for the rest of the season. I don't think Bottas is going to be at Mercedes next year. I don't think they're going to hire a top-line driver to partner Hamilton, because I don't think it makes sense for them.
No, I mean there's quite a lot to talk about Mercedes team orders tonight.
Yeah.
When we get that far down that far down the
But
list.
Ocon, if he can keep scoring points, is
He's
doing
in the shout.
everything in his power to put himself
I'm looking
there.
forward to the second half of the season with Esteban Ocon, because he did the second half of the season in the Manor last year.
Yeah.
And he outperformed Verlaine on quite a few occasions at tracks that he'd never raced at, and it was his first time in the discipline. When he's now sort
And
of
Verlaine
used to
had half a season ahead of him in that car.
Yeah. When you get to the second half of the season, and Ocon's going to be going to tracks that he already knows, he already sort of familiarises himself with the environment, not just to the circuit, but the environment and how things work at that particular circuit. He already knows what's going on in Formula One. I think he'll be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
In the second half of the season, and I expect him to probably be matching, if not ahead of
Seems
Sergio
like
Perez.
a really nice lad as well.
Yeah, comes across really well. Saw him in a post-race interview. In the
he needs to do something with his hair.
He's a bit vampire-ish, isn't he?
It's just bland. He's the sort of man that just goes. He goes for a haircut. He doesn't go for a cut and a style.
No, well, yeah, like me.
I think you get that quite often with drivers in their first season, don't you?
Yeah,
Hamilton.
I think that's look at Hamilton now. What the fuck is going on with that Barnett?
Gone too far, hasn't it?
That's exactly what it's done.
It's being styled though. It's
there's
there's no just chop it off, will you?
No, there's a point to it. There's a definite point to it, but there's a point to a lot of things, and sometimes it's wrong.
I don't know where to go with that. I did see a comment come up on YouTube. How does the Force India get any air in? Because Ocon's that tall that his helmet's practically covering the intake.
How tall is he? Do we know how tall he is?
Tell
Tell us in the comments, please.
If anyone has got Ocon's height that's easily accessible,
I'm
let us
going
know.
6'2".
But he is tall for a driver.
Right.
We're not sort of quite talking Anthony Davidson levels of struggling to get in the car, because he's what, 6'5"?
Anthony Davidson. He's about
tiny.
2'3".
No, I'm not thinking about Anthony Davidson. Justin Wilson. He's
quite tall.
He was too tall to drive the Minardi.
Yeah.
Nico Hulkenberg's about 6'4".
Yeah.
Anthony Davidson's first job was to go on an expedition for a ring.
Oh dear.
Dear God.
But yeah. So who's up next, then? Red Bull?
What we got up next? We've got Red Bull up next. Danny Rick, 5th. Probably the best he could have expected.
Yeah, it is the best you could have expected. When you look at the 4 cars that finished 1st to 4th, they're always going to be, well, not always, but for this first part of the season, they are going to be the cars to catch. Now, Danny Rick wasn't quite on pace with them during the course of the weekend, but as you say, fifth probably the very best he could have hoped for, best of the rest at the moment until Red Bull do join the fight, and we think that they will a bit later on in the season.
Hope so. I mean, apparently something's come out this weekend about a correlation problem between data and the wind tunnel.
Yeah, Force
which
India
is
has
the
said
same-
exactly the
Force
same thing.
India.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Force India have said exactly the same thing.
You'd wonder how that would happen, wouldn't you? Especially for Red Bull, who
Don't
which
McLaren make all the data for the data packages for the teams?
I'm not sure,
don't
but didn't Honda have that exact problem with the Earth Dreams car, which is why it was such an absolute dog?
yeah,
issues.
it's
Yeah.
something like that. But what I mean is, like for Red Bull, it's very surprising when you've got a team which is basically its bread and butter has been aero since they employed Adrian Newey.
Yeah,
It's strange that happens this year.
Yeah, and when we're saying that fifth is probably the best that Danny Rick could have hoped for, Max Verstappen says something very, very differently.
He thinks he could have got on the podium.
he
doesn't
thinks he could have been second.
Yeah.
He thinks he could have picked both Mercedes with, had he not had that brake failure after his pit stop, then he would have undercut the Mercedes, both of them, and reckons he could have fought them off. It's Max
Would
Verstappen.
have taken quite a lot of good luck.
Yeah,
I
if you look
reckon.
back at China, for example, only a week beforehand, he was struggling to fight Danny Rick off at the end of the race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, as I've just said, that car's not quite on the
I
pace
think he
of
could
those
have been
top four.
third. I think he'd have struggled, especially given the pace Hamilton had towards the end of the race. I think he could have pipped Kimi and Bottas.
Yeah. Also, I want to point out that Ricardo may have been a little bit further down the road had he not been impeded by Hamilton under the safety car.
Yeah, but there was no real explanation for that. And that's I understand what he didn't want to be stacked, did he? I think that was the main thing. He didn't want to stack.
Didn't want to be stacked.
I didn't want
he
thing
was a
going
second
past.
ahead of
Yeah.
the lap time that he was supposed to have.
Yeah,
So he had to
So-
slow down.
So he was possibly concentrating on that more than on whether there was a driver behind him that he was
Yeah.
slowing down.
yeah.
Yeah, but at one point did he slow to 50? Was it 52 kilometers or 30 something
it was,
kilometers?
it was 52 kilometres an hour, which comes out around about
I-
30 miles an hour.
I still think
less
the
than
main
that, I
reason
think.
was he knew he knew if he went straight in, he was going to have to be stacked.
48 kilometres an hour is 30 miles an hour.
That
Well,
meant
I've just done some quick maths.
that meant Ricardo would have definitely got him in the pits. Whereas if he could push him back a bit and drive straight into his box, he would still have the high ground in the pit stops and probably get out in front of Danny Rick. And
Yeah.
that's what he was doing. But-
That's if he was looking in his mirrors. If he wasn't, it's possible that he was thinking, rather than pulling up behind Valtteri,
Yeah.
stopping, then moving forwards, it's better to just
Drive
go in
straight in.
smoothly and stop
Yeah.
in the pit box.
But just quickly then,
The other question on that, though, is...
Could have peeled to the right slightly.
yeah.
Yeah, the other question on that, though, with Lewis slowing down just to stay within the delta under the virtual safety car, where was the Mercedes pit in relation to the finish line? Because that's the end of a sector. So he would have needed to have been under that time.
I had read this as not being the safety car delta, but being the delta that Mercedes had given him to make sure he got into the box at the right time.
Oh right! Oh, that actually came from the team. Right. Sorry, I thought it was safety car delta. that
I
it
may
was.
have misunderstood that, but
Both make equal sense.
Yeah. Just before we go on to Mercedes and Ferrari, is Max starting to, as we thought, well, people thought he might do. I don't think any of us were truly sure, but is he starting to make Danny Rick look a bit normal?
Mark Webbery.
Yeah.
I know Jana has said in the past that she's worried about Danny Rick becoming Mark Webbered.
I wouldn't worry about it, to be honest. I think it's happened.
I
I
think it's
don't-
too early to call it yet, but it does look a little bit that way.
I think the thing is, maybe it hasn't been said, but I think it's already.
There are two ways that
Max
can
Verstappen
happen.
looks like the guy that's going to win you a world championship.
Yeah, there
That's
is.
the thing.
But
Max
Danny Rick-
Verstappen is far more spectacular
Yeah.
than Danny Rick.
Danny Rick is a lot smoother.
Yeah.
Danny Rick's more like Jenson Button,
Yeah.
and Verstappen's more like Lewis Hamilton of 7 or 8 years ago.
But I think the difference is last year Danny Rick had the race pace on Max Verstappen, whereas he doesn't appear to have that now.
Well, he was
Yeah.
very, very close in China, wasn't he? He was
Yeah,
halfway
no,
match
no,
right
he's
at the end
close.
of the
But
race.
no, I mean, by had it, I mean, he was up the road from him. When it came to the end of a race.
Yeah.
Yeah, they looked evenly matched over the course of last year.
Yeah. And I just think that somewhere
They've
along
only
the
had
line,
one race where they finished third so far this year, and they were very close at the end of it.
No, yeah, they were close, but I mean, either Danny Ricks dropped back slightly from what his pace used to be, or what's more likely is that Max Verstappen is now closing on Danny Ricks' race pace.
Yeah, I think Max probably stepped it up a little.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. Now the danger of that is how young he is. So if he started to close up towards Danny Ricks' race pace, how long before he surpasses it?
Well, unless, and this is going back to when we saw them finish close together.
Yeah.
What we saw happen in that race was Verstappen pushed like hell through the race and was looking a long way ahead of Danny Rick
yeah,
until the last few laps, where slow and patient Ricciardo still had the tyres and was catching him quite quickly.
yeah,
As Chris says, we've only seen them finish that one race together.
yeah.
If we see them finish a few more together,
It
you
might
might
tell
see
a
the
better
same
story.
thing. You might see
I-
Verstappen racing
Yeah.
and falling off the cliff at the end.
I really hope. Well, see, this is the thing. We don't think that the tyres are going to have that cliff as much now, do we? But
No, it's the plan is for a more gradual tyre
yeah.
peg.
But I really like Danny Rick, and I want him to do well. But I just have that feeling now that what people thought about Max Verstappen when we were all going, hang on, are people not losing it a little bit quickly? I think it's starting to become a reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's looking like there's a reason why it's him that can hang on to Vettel and Hamilton, and
Yeah.
it's the reason that Vettel and Hamilton are dropping Kimi and Bottas is because they're top flight drivers, and there's a reason why Verstappen is the Red Bull car which can hang on to the top flight drivers.
But let's wait.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Wait and see.
More
till
season
we've
to
got
unfold.
a few more races where both Red Bulls have finished before we can draw any conclusions.
Yeah, I mean, one thing you can say about Red Bull, though, is they've narrowed the gap between themselves and the top two teams a little this weekend. There's still a tangible gap there.
Yeah.
But they're starting to bring it in a little bit.
What was it? It was something like 30 seconds that Max was behind them in Australia, 40 in China.
Yeah.
The gap wasn't quite that big, but it was still a gap.
It was still a
Yeah.
gap, but there's work that needs to be done, but at least they appear to have started doing it.
yeah. I mean, I don't think the gap. If Verstappen had finished, he'd have been closer than Ricciardo was. So I think the gap would have looked even better than it did. If he'd have still been in the race. It was a good sign for them as well, because that they should have been further back when you look at the other races, given the straights,
Yeah.
in Bahrain. So it's all good signs for Red Bull.
Definitely. Mercedes. The next ones. We are now seeing the team orders.
Well,
It's happening.
not immediately.
Yeah, before we talk about them, like dead quickly, did Ferrari win that race or did Mercedes lose it? I think Mercedes lost it.
I'd be inclined to agree with you.
They lost it on a strategy call again with the safety car, much as they did in Australia.
Hamilton lost 5 seconds, and they in the pit stop.
Yeah,
it
was what I mean. It was a pit stop, poor pit stop thing, like it was in Australia.
And he lost a good 4 to 5 seconds stuck behind his teammate, where Ferrari would never let that happen.
But Vettel turned his engine down towards the end. So if you're thinking, well, if you had that time together, Hamilton would have won it.
Do you think he turned his engine down? I don't.
Everyone turns their engine
Yeah.
down at the end.
Yeah, no,
Because
if you've
they've only
got a gap,
four engines.
Yeah.
if you've got a gap and the simulations don't say you're going to be overtaken,
But that gap wouldn't have been there without the escapades.
I think Andrew Price just put it best on the comments, actually. Mercedes lost it, but Ferrari put them under enough pressure to lose it.
yeah.
Ferrari doing the pit stop, that's what set a chain reaction off. But if Hamilton hadn't have fucked himself, and then I couldn't believe how long they left Hamilton behind Bottas.
Well, they told Lewis to get close enough to Valtteri
Yeah.
to get him past, and he didn't. He didn't get close enough. He wasn't
He-
within
he
a
sat-
second.
He sat more than a second
Yeah,
behind
he
you.
wasn't
Yeah, no,
within
that-
a
it was-
second for
right,
a long
that's
time.
great.
He was
But
still
then-
about 3 seconds behind, 3 laps after they told him to.
But he was a second
But
behind,
as soon-
just over a second.
As soon as he got into the DRS range, Mercedes told Valtteri to move over, and he did.
No, but the problem is, as soon as he got past, he dropped him by about 4 seconds
Yeah,
in a lap.
Which says that Mercedes is shit at following again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I mean, if
Can't even
what's-
follow its own car.
What's Hamilton supposed to do in that situation? Kuka's tyres getting close enough to his teammates so they'll just get him out of the way. That's not the way team
No.
orders should work. It should have been like you've already closed that gap up. And Hamilton even said on the radio, he said, "Look, let me past. If I can't catch him, I'll let him past again."
Yeah.
And it's what you say. That as soon as he said that, they should have said, "Look, get out of the way." The other thing I thought was, I don't know why Bottas let him past where he did, because that could have been a double retirement for Mercedes. There,
He didn't make it easy for him to do that pass because it was on the outside
did
of the
you
corner.
see the fucking jerk he had to do to go around?
Yeah, but
him?
he was
he
on,
nearly
it was on a
piled.
racing line.
He
Bottas
ne-
didn't get off the racing line to let Lewis pass.
No, but he slammed the anchors on.
Well, yeah, he just sort of backed off, didn't he?
No,
Backed,
but like,
backed off and made Lewis do
Yeah.
all the work.
Yeah.
Lewis had to jink out from behind him.
Yeah.
Another split second, and he'd been in the back.
Yeah.
So I can't understand it.
No, yeah, it was a bit of a strange, but unless it was already pre-agreed and we never heard the radio call. But it would have made sense on a straight, not,
would have
not,
made
not
sense.
round like a double right hand.
Well, that's that.
bend.
I think they both lost time from doing that. It's surely the idea would have been just to like lift off on a straight
Yeah.
and let Hamilton go.
Well, there was 2 straights right after that point, so I
Yeah.
don't know why Valtteri didn't just get off the race.
There was one before it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
But I think what's going to happen now is we'll definitely see a number 1 and number 2 hierarchy, probably from the next race.
I think you have to.
I don't think so.
I do.
No,
let's
it's
just-
too early. It's too early. What we saw at this race
Yeah.
was one driver going substantially quicker than the other, and the slower driver being asked to move over. We've seen that with loads of teams over
Hamilton's
the past couple
been
of years.
substantially quicker than Bottas every race this year.
yeah, but Bottas was substantially quicker than Lewis Hamilton in qualifying.
Only because Lewis made a mistake.
Yeah, but
Which
Lewis
is
made a
which is
mistake.
fine. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he made a mistake. Yeah, but
Lewis could have made a mistake in the
if
race.
he had but if he hadn't have made that silly mistake, he'd have been like 2/10 quicker than him again, like normal.
Possibly, yeah, it was going to be very, very close.
Tell you what, and this is fucking. I'm going to do it again, and not only am I doing it again, I'm doing it again on fucking YouTube Live
You're doing it again.
again. If Nico Rosberg would have been in the car, that wouldn't have been a problem because Nico's pace would have been closer to Hamilton's than Bottas's was.
But there were
Yeah.
but there were races like was it Monaco last year where Nico just didn't have the pace.
Yeah,
and,
That
he
was weird.
told
yeah,
to
and he-
move
and
over.
He said, "Look,
Yeah.
I can't get the pace here." And they said, well, "Can you move over and let Lewis through then? Because he's
Yeah.
a lot quicker than you."
Yeah.
And Nico, to his credit, was like, "Yeah, fine, no worries."
I think there's a big difference between team orders in one race and a driver being a number 2 driver.
I think they're going to have to though because Ferrari have already got team orders.
Do you think?
Yeah, it's starting to look like.
I think they went into the season with
Well,
team
no,
orders.
I don't think they've got team orders. I don't think they need
I think
them at
again
Ferrari.
they've got
No, you're probably right, you
they've
don't
got a
need
slower driver who's the second driver.
To be fair to Kimi, the car hasn't worked for him this year. We know what Kimi's like. Kimi has to have a perfect setup underneath him to make that
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Every race he's been complaining about something. This race Bottas was complaining about understeer.
Yeah.
Raikkonen was complaining about oversteer. Both of them said they couldn't make the car work for them. And then you had Hamilton and Vettel in, Hamilton the same car as Bottas, Vettel the same
Yeah.
car as Raikkonen, but they made it work for themselves
Yeah.
somehow. And is that more driver adaptation or
See, Mercedes
pure luck that
Mercedes
the fact-
fucked Bottas, didn't they, for his first stint because there was a problem with the tyre pressures.
they couldn't bleed the tyres on the grid as
There was-
supposed
Yeah,
to.
there was a generator problem according
Yeah.
to Toto, and they couldn't take the pressures down.
Yeah, but that's that one stint. What happened to the rest of the race?
Can I also point out as well how amazing it was that Kimi Raikkonen said at one point I can't remember if it was during the race or during qualifying when Kimi Raikkonen was going around the circuit and he went, "My left rear tyre is a lot colder than my right rear tyre," and they came back on the radio and said, "Yep, Kimi, there's a 6-degree difference." We don't know why.
Yeah.
So you want that kind of feedback from Kimi Raikkonen. If you're
Yeah.
going to have a number 2 driver, if you will, or a driver who's slower than Sebastian Vettel, not necessarily a number 2 driver, you want that kind of number 2 driver.
I assume he had access to the temperatures on his steering wheel, rather than just saying, I can feel that.
I don't know if he's got time to go through his menu. And be like,
They're probably accessible on the menu, but I mean, you look at a steering wheel and how many menus do you have to flick through to get to somewhere? It's
Triangle button, isn't it?
no, it's triangle, R2, and left stick down at the same time.
Up, down, left, right, up, down, left,
Sorry,
right, A and start.
Triangle looks behind you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you plug a steering wheel and all the controls change.
Do
Yeah.
Yes,
they? I don't know.
yeah, the default wheel.
Just naturally good at everything.
Even modesty.
Yes.
Everything in moderation, including modesty.
We'll talk about Ferrari now.
Yeah.
Seb did win,
Yes.
put himself in a position to win.
Yeah.
It's
That,
nice to see
that
him
first
racing.
pit stop was brilliant.
Yeah,
Great call by Ferrari.
It was well timed, and there was a bit of luck to it as well because it was just before the safety car.
Yeah.
Had that been a Mercedes pit stop just before the safety car, we might have seen a very, very different outcome to the race.
But I think Mercedes were planning to stay out for longer.
Possibly, but they may well have been, and they tried to take advantage of the safety car and got it a bit wrong. But Ferrari, and again Vettel, is able to pounce with precision when something happens up ahead and it's not 100% to that driver's liking. Vettel is able to take advantage of it.
Now, I think Mercedes were going to stay out longer in the first stint because, correct me if I'm wrong here, but Lewis only did one run in Q2, whereas Kimi and I think Seb both did 2. So they got older tyres by 3 laps. So that would have given Mercedes the chance to stay out for an extra few laps.
Right. But also when I think it was Lewis's, after his second stop, he was on a set of used softs, as Dan rightfully pointed out in the live blog room.
Yeah, which confused Lewis when they sent him out because he was asking why they'd put him out on softs and not supers, and their data showed that they were the tyres to use.
I think Bottas had shown that they were the tyres to use as well, weren't they? Because he struggled, didn't he? On the
He was
supers?
struggling on the supers
On the
for the
supers.
first
He was
stint,
Got
but
set
again-
fastest laps on
Yeah.
the
And
softs.
Mercedes have admitted that they're having problems with their, keeping their rear tyres cool. They're overheating their rear tyres at the moment. And
This is going to be the story of the season: is how Mercedes treat tyres.
Yeah, and they're going to struggle at street circuits where they use the ultra softs. Mercedes are going to struggle. So we
Maybe because don't
have
forget
we got
you
ultras in Russia?
don't forget you're using I think
we did
do,
last year.
yeah.
Yeah.
But don't forget for street circuits and stuff like that, where they're using the ultra softs, they're using the ultra softs because the tire drag is so low. So
Yeah, but-
I don't. Maybe they won't.
But it was I believe it was Paul Di Resta on
Yeah.
Sky who was saying that.
Oh, it's gospel then. Sorry, I take everything back.
I mean, I've never actually known the man to get anything wrong.
No,
since he's
no,
become a
no,
pundit.
no. In Durista we trust.
Exactly, in the rest of we trust, because when Max Verstappen went out with brake failure, don't know if you heard it, but on Sky's TV commentary,
De Resta called
yeah.
it pretty much
Before
Verstappen knew.
Yeah.
Before Verstappen had stopped, the rest was on to Crofty saying brake failure. So yeah, in Di Resta we trust, and it was him that said that we are going to be seeing Mercedes struggling with their rear tyre, especially in street circuits where the ultra softs are going to be used. They can't make what's called the options and the primes. They can't make the options switch on, and when they do, is a very small window of them working before they're too hot.
That's some shit that Formula One can get rid
Optimus
of as
Prime.
far as the new Formula One, isn't it?
What's that?
Options and primes.
Options and primes. Well,
We know, and obviously anyone that likes Formula One enough to listen to us talk about it knows what it means. What a stupid thing.
yeah, the option is always a softer tyre, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
And the prime is the harder tyre.
But here's an idea.
But the
hard and soft.
But
Yeah.
the problem is, it's not an option, because even the option is compulsory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and also you got 3 tyre choices now as
Yeah.
well. So
And now you've actually got an option.
option prime and Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
put the Optimus Primes on, it turns your car into a massive lorry.
For McLaren.
Or if you put the Optimus Prime tyres on a McLaren, it comes back on a massive lorry.
Either way, it doesn't matter. But no, Ferrari did very well. As I said, felt very sorry for Kimi having issues again with not being able to find the perfect setup.
Yeah.
But he is that driver who needs the car.
They
And
screwed him
he
on
hasn't.
strategy again as well.
A little bit.
Yeah, they should have brought him in earlier.
Unhappy Kimi as well. Very long-winded Kimi. I don't know if anybody else noticed that with his radio messages.
Yeah, he doesn't normally talk that much.
No.
No.
He was going into a hell of a lot of detail when he was on the radio to the team. That was the longest we've heard Kimi speak outside of... Actually, no, including quite a lot of interviews.
Do you think that's Kimi's version of racing driver excuses?
Was it?
He protests too much. You know, it's
Was
like, this is wrong, that's wrong. It's clearly not me.
Somebody asked Kimi Räikkönen, and I don't know if it was this year or if it was a previous year, why does Bahrain suit you? And the answer was, I don't know. Why don't you go and ask the circuit?
Did he?
I think that was this year.
Is that this year? Yeah, so,
Fucking great.
Why does Bahrain seem to suit you? I don't know. Why don't you go and ask the circuit?
It's going to be such a poor place, that paddock, without Kimi Räikkönen.
You should just be there, just for a laugh. You can come and join this podcast if you want to. You can just sit there and not say anything.
Congratulations, Mr. Räikkönen, as well. He's having another baba.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Mr. Räikkönen.
A vodka and ice cream
And
party on the
Mrs.
horizon then.
Yeah.
Isn't his wife called Mintu?
Yes.
Yes.
Mintu
Yes.
Räikkönen. Congratulations, Kimi and Mintu.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a strange name. You're right.
It might be a perfectly normal name if you're from Finland.
Absolutely.
Could be, yeah. They have crazy names. Kimi.
Valtteri.
Kiki. Heiki.
Juha.
Lots of eyes. They love an eye, don't they?
I mean, we're getting back to one
And
of
a
my
K.
getting back to one of my favourite bands of all time are from Finland. And
Steps.
Yes. Yeah, the Finnish Steps. It's spelled with two P's and an E. Goes into Russia. One of my favourite bands of all time is from Finland, and they all changed their names to something English. It was a lot easier.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, Mike, Andy. There was a nasty suicide as well.
Bet there was an umlaut in there somewhere.
Oh, of course.
It's got to be. Hasn't it? Well, Räikkönen's got an umlaut somewhere. Is it
Yeah.
above the eye?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Still can't beat the Spinal Tap on above the N.
that's very good. Yeah.
Yeah, for anyone who is watching on YouTube, you can probably tell with the Iron Maiden t-shirt and the long hair, I am a little bit of a metal fan. I don't know if that comes across.
I think it does.
Oh, right, yeah. Fair enough. So, all in all, how would we rate this race?
Very good.
It was pretty good,
It was
yeah.
eventful. There was a lot going on. It wasn't processional at any point. As we said at the beginning of the podcast, there was a lot of DRS going on, but it wasn't DRS push to pass. It
No.
was like we saw in China, assistance, and then people were passing.
Yeah. That is how DRS should be.
Absolutely.
That
That's how
was-
Formula One should be.
Yeah, no artificial overtaking,
Yeah.
just passing on speed.
Well, yeah, it's technically artificial because it's closing the gap, but it's allowing them to. It's not.
Yeah,
it's
but
not
it was invented to. Well, it was brought in to stop teams from circumventing the rules.
Yeah.
You know, the F duct. Technically, it wasn't a movable aerodynamic device, but it made the driver take his hand off the steering
Ooh,
wheel.
talking of
Yeah.
movable aerodynamic devices, did you hear what people were saying about Ferrari over the weekend?
Flexible floor.
A flexible floor, and they don't know whether it's longitudinally or laterally, but it's
You're gonna have to mime that one again. I was on the wrong camera.
longitudinally.
Well, there was a picture, wasn't there? There was a little video,
Or
super
laterally.
slow, and it seemed like, you know, when you see a stingray,
Yes,
yeah, it was doing that, like that flappy business.
it flaps at the back of the.
On the side, by the air ducts, by the boxes.
So it's
Right.
sort of undulating.
Yeah.
So it could be that they have a flexible floor which would help with suspension. Now it's not an aerodynamic device.
No, but it shouldn't move. The bodywork shouldn't flex.
It's
It's
allowed
going
to
to.
flex within certain parameters because it
yeah.
obviously has to.
Yeah.
Because it can't be made that stiff.
But nobody's
we're
not-
into Red Bull flexi wing territory.
Yeah, but nobody's lodged a protest yet.
Oh, apparently Keke Rosberg's real first name is Keijo.
Actually,
Keijo.
Keke was a nickname.
before the race, Charlie Whiting clarified that was speaking to who I can't remember the name now, whoever's in charge of the FIA for like sporting conduct has looked at that video, and he said, as of seeing that video, that is illegal.
Right.
So the FIA said that
They can't do anything
flexing-
until somebody protests it, can they?
They can't do anything until anything protests. But what you've also got to remember is the car's passed all the scrutineering tests.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
So yeah,
It didn't get noticed, so it's legal.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
but
it's also fucking Ferrari and.
Well, we were talking with Sean. We were talking with Sean, weren't we, last week, very briefly about the double floored Ferraris,
Yeah.
92, 93. Double floors that sort of moved over each other, and they were awful. They didn't work at all.
Yeah.
So Ferrari got previous with sort of trying to bend the rules and
Yeah.
having it not work. But I mean, bending the rules by bending the floor, it might
Yeah.
well be.
Yeah,
be
but
working
Ferrari
very
is
well
the team
for
that
them.
once turned up at a race in the early 80s with 2 rear wings.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, and let's not forget that as far as Formula One's concerned, Formula One has to be watched by people, has to be enjoyed, and this has been an ongoing concern now of like making Formula One the show to watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you seriously think that if that car was sketchy, shall we say, and fixing that car would cost Ferrari half a second, maybe more, that would destroy the battle between Mercedes and Ferrari, which are getting them all the good press and all the good watches? Do you not think there would be somebody high up in Formula One, higher than even Ferrari, that turn around to Mercedes and say, just shut up because we don't need this. We need a good year. We need good years moving forward to move Formula One under new owners forward.
Well, you got to have the spectacle, but you've also got to have the sport being fair.
No, well, yeah, because it's never happened before, has it?
Especially not with Ferrari.
No.
FIA Ferrari International Assistance.
Yeah, it's in the same way as, by all rights, Vettel should have had a drive-through last weekend for not being in his grid box, and it was forgotten. Not because it was okay being that far away from his grid box, because if they'd have given him a penalty, it would have destroyed the race. It would have destroyed the race from lap one.
I think his nose was inside the grid box, wasn't it? And there's rules that say if the track's wet, then you can be slightly out of position.
I'd have to
avoid
look again,
puddles
but I think there's bits of his nose that were out of it. Like he was half of the car out.
There was enough of the car in to make it not as questionable as it could have been.
I think
because of the
very
track conditions.
questionable.
If you're going to look at people who know just how far you can push the rules,
Yeah.
Vettel's up there with Schumacher.
No, I don't think he pushed. I don't think he pushed it for any reason. I think he fucked up. It was too much. He fucked up, and I think he should have, in all rights, had some sort of penalty. I don't think he was given a penalty because I don't think Formula One or whoever was in charge of that, whoever was involved in that conversation, because there must have been a conversation.
Yeah, it
because
was under
it
investigation.
was because it was under investigation. Whoever was involved in that situation, somebody at some point has turned around and said, "Do we fuck this motor race up right now, first lap?" And I think the decision was no.
You know, half of those screens that are in front of Charlie Whiting during the race are just monitoring TV ratings.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, they're not for telemetry or camera.
No, probably.
So yeah, all in all, a quite enjoyable Bahrain Grand Prix.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And I think we can move.
Well, if you were lucky enough to see any of the Formula 2, either the feature race or the sprint race, all of Bahrain was good this weekend.
Good.
I missed GP2 this weekend.
F2.
Altogether.
F2.
Sorry, Formula
F2
2.
is it's called now, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to catch up on Formula 2 over the next.
Is it still
couple of days.
GP3?
Yeah, because they can't call it FIA Formula 3 because there's too many Formula 3 series,
Yeah.
but there wasn't a Formula 2 anymore.
So realistically, they should have just changed it to something else.
Although the main commentator was getting a little bit confused over, and he's a Formula 2 rookie, but he did really well in GP2 last year. It's the same thing. But of course, the main thing that stood out for me with the F2 race that I did watch, the
nearly got
co-commentator Davide Valsecchi.
Love that guy.
Yeah.
The most enthusiastic man on the planet.
Yes.
Yeah. He was once described as if Murray Walker talks like his trousers are on fire, Davide Valsecchi talks like his trousers are on fire and somebody's throwing petrol on him.
Yeah.
He can make an absolute nothing of a pass for 17th place sound like the time that Jacques Villeneuve went round the outside of Schumacher at Estoril on a corner.
Yeah. Yeah. Which was, we love Davide Valsecchi, and if anybody's watching or listening and they can get in touch with Davide Valsecchi, we'd love to have him on the show.
Yeah, now
Because that would
we've
be
got a mix with
wonderful.
better faders, we can just sort of take the volume down a little bit on his channel.
Yeah, just keep taking it
So next
down.
time, even YouTube can listen to the guests.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Wow.
now we've got this new fancy high tech mixer, which I'll point at sort of game show host.
Looks a
style.
bit like a Ferrari.
Well, it's red and silver.
No, but it's sleek. It
It's
looks nice.
sleek and it works, and everyone can hear us. Can you hear us on YouTube?
And the bottom of it's a bit flexible.
I hope they can hear us on YouTube, either that or they're really good at lip reading.
Yeah, they're good at lip reading, and some of the comments have been spot on.
Good stuff.
Yeah, just gonna go.
What a bunch of cunts. What are they doing on my laptop?
Yeah, that's the kind of thing. Just want to go back through a couple of the YouTube comments that have come up while we've been talking, because we need a bit of interactivity on this.
All right.
Yes, 5-5 were better than Steps.
What?
Baby,
You-
when the lights go out.
You were talking about Steps being my favourite band,
Yeah.
but somebody said 5-5 were better. I agree, actually.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we've had Keke Rosberg's real name.
It's like a live mailbag.
Is that an?
There were five.
There were
They were
five,
five,
but they spelt it the number 5 IVE.
All right. Well, in that case, but the best pop band of that time was Five, in that genre.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
5-5.
5-5.
Oh right, yeah. But they were much better. They were much better than Steps.
Yeah,
Anything's
of course
better than
they were.
Steps.
Yes,
Yeah.
except Scooch.
Who?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Steps
Enough.
have got a new song
Too
out.
much of a tangent.
Steps have got a new song out. It's fucking awful. Like,
Is that the one that I heard that
Worse.
sounds like ABBA ripoff?
yes.
Yes.
It's like worse than you think it would be.
Can we
Carry
move
on.
on?
Let's move on with
Please.
things. We've got news.
Please.
Yeah, we have a running order. Let's get back to it. I think we're just trying to talk about what the story is on top of the running order. So if everybody moves one seat to the right... Oh, we can't move to the right. We have to move to the left because we're talking about IndyCar.
We are indeed. Left turns only, please. It's old news now. Everybody
I'm
knows.
really sorry. I'm sorry for that joke.
But everybody knows that Fernando Alonso is going to be doing the Indy 500 now instead
Yes.
of the Monaco Grand Prix. Although this happened after last week's podcast and obviously before we start recording this week's one, so it has to go in this week's podcast. What's everyone's thoughts on it? And we'll start with Paul.
I think McLaren and Honda are doing this to keep him happy and try and not make him walk out mid-season. By letting him go for one race, even if it is the showpiece of the F1 season, you got all the usual cliches about Monaco being the jewel in the Formula One crown, etc., etc. But it is the showpiece race. By letting him step away even for this, it's, look, we'll put you in something competitive so it looks good, and these Honda engines in IndyCar are better than any of the competition, so you can show what you can do in a series that we rag on IndyCar quite a lot, but it does have the viewers, it does have the following. It's giving him a chance
And the
to...
Indy 500 is...
The Indy
It's
500.
another jewel in the crown race.
Yeah, it's part of the Triple Crown of Motorsport, which he's now said he wants to win.
Yeah, it's Triple Crown of Motorsport, which Damon Hill said at the weekend. I have no idea who gave it that title, because when my dad just won those 3 races, he won those 3 races. It wasn't called the Triple Crown.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was probably somebody on the ESPN comments section.
probably.
Quite probably.
But yeah, he's won Monaco, he wants to win Indy, and he wants to win Le Mans.
Yeah.
They're giving him possibly a chance to do this because the Andretti cars, by all accounts, aren't crap,
Yeah.
and it's keeping him happy.
I think an Andretti car won the Indy
Well,
last year.
Yeah, Alexander Rossi in the
Was it?
Andretti
Yeah.
Honda powered.
Was he a wild card last year?
Rossi, no, he was driving for Andretti, but they made a separate team, I think.
It was different colours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
somebody
it's
will correct
Rossi
me if I'm wrong,
Motorsport,
but they-
wasn't it?
Yeah, they made a sort of separate team for him
Yeah.
for that race, but he was driving an Andretti Honda for the rest of the season, and just like
Much like this McLaren is going to be called a McLaren Honda Andretti, and it's
Yeah.
going to be done up in the Formula One livery, as such as you would expect to see the Van Dorn and Alonso's Formula One cars.
yeah, it's going to be black and orange.
Yeah, it's going to be a transfer of the livery over to
Yeah.
IndyCar.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just so you think it. Just to a very casual viewer, might look at it and go, "Oh, that's Alonso in his Formula One car." It's not. It's an
Yeah.
Indy car that's been built by Andretti Racing, but as you say, McLaren Honda Andretti, and I think it's a wonderful marketing move by everyone involved, by McLaren, by Honda, by Fernando Alonso, and by Formula One.
Yeah.
Let's look at the facts here. You've got McLaren, who are now run by an American businessman and
Yeah.
racer. You have Formula One, which is now owned by an American company.
Yeah.
Or is part of an American company now.
Yeah.
You have the Andretti team, which the name Andretti is synonymous with IndyCar racing, and in Formula One, McLaren.
Yeah.
Because who did Mario win his world title with?
Yeah.
McLaren.
Michael Andretti, not so
McLaren.
successful in a McLaren.
Yeah.
But you look at great McLaren drivers of the past, and you can't ignore Mario Andretti in there. And that name does carry a lot of clout in motor racing.
It does.
It's bringing a well-known Formula One driver, a double world champion, to IndyCar. So IndyCar are saying, this legitimises us because we've got someone who was a world champion in F1 coming into IndyCar.
Still a current Formula One driver. He's
Still
not-
a current
he's not
Formula
like a
One driver.
retired-
Not actually retired from Formula One to come into it like Mansell did.
I don't think IndyCar feels it needs to be legitimised.
No, I don't.
Especially the Indy 500.
I don't know
Yeah.
because IndyCar is kind of doing the reverse of Formula One because it's trying to build its name outside the US and Formula One's trying to build its name in the US.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's what I was
fine.
about- that's the
But
point
the
I was
reason
gonna
the
make.
reason Indy doesn't have to build its name outside the US, or it doesn't need to. A, it doesn't go outside the US, and B, America is a big enough market to support all of the sports and all of the things that America
I think the
has.
thing it wants to, because I mean, the IndyCar have had races outside the US before because the season opener used to be in Australia.
Yeah.
They've had a couple of races in Germany. I think they tried one in the UK at the Rockingham Speedway, which didn't really
Didn't go
take
well.
off. But that
It would be nice to get more Indy through. It would be nice if it was a world championship.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I'm not quite as optimistic about all this as you.
What it's going to do, undoubtedly, is put Formula One eyes. People listen to this podcast right
We'll
now.
watch it. I wouldn't watch it normally.
No,
Yeah.
but people, it's going to be what's called, I think it was the Mansell effect. Was it that
Yeah.
Sean called it? Sean
Yeah.
Kelly, last week's guest, called it the Mansell effect.
Yeah.
People are going to watch the Indy 500 who would not otherwise be interested in it because
Yeah.
Fernando Alonso is going to be in it in a McLaren Honda Andretti.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also going to do the same the other way round as well. If Alonso is successful in the Indy 500, now I'm not saying he necessarily has to win it, but if he's up there at some points, and and it's like, oh, bloody hell, Alonso's doing really, really well here, then it could well move IndyCar fan eyes who would be like Formula One, whatever. I mean, I'm into IndyCar. Well, actually, that Formula One driver came here and did quite well, so maybe those guys are actually, the proper racers.
Yeah.
The IndyCar people are going to start watching Formula One. That's the cross promotional thing here that everyone involved is hoping for. McLaren, Fernando Alonso, Formula One, IndyCar, the American market, and the global market.
See,
All hoping for the same thing.
I think this is grand for everybody, like you're saying, but I think it's less grand for McLaren because does nobody else think it's slightly embarrassing for McLaren the fact that their car is so bad that they can't keep hold of their star driver going to the most famous motor race in the world?
Yeah, it's awful, but they're making the best of a bad situation, and they're giving their sponsors something extra.
Yeah,
And
but
it's also-
doesn't it show? Sorry, but doesn't it just show how to me, the outside guy, let alone people inside Formula One, people that are trying to get advertising on cars and stuff like that. When the situation in that team has deteriorated and crumbled that much, to keep their depressed driver happy, they have to allow him to go race somewhere else in their best chance of a good win, of a good not a win, fuck wins.
Well,
Of a good result, a
Yeah.
win for McLaren.
But so many people in Formula One have been saying what a shame, what a waste it is to have someone of Alonso's talent
Yeah,
running around at the
that's
back of the
fine.
grid. And
But Johnny,
so we're
Johnny
doing,
Bootkeeper,
they're doing something to rectify that.
Johnny Bootkeeper that wants to fill in one of those big empty spots on the side of the McLaren to bring some extra money into the team doesn't fucking care about that. But what he's going to be asked when he's at Monaco, when all the business deals get done in Monaco, and someone's turned around and said, "Great, where's Fernando?"
Jensen's there. That's
that's
grand.
grand. That's grand. But it's okay. So you've got your retired driver out to race in Monaco.
Who the sponsors love. That's why they kept hold of him as an
Yeah,
ambassador.
but you're not going to sponsor a team just because a guy you like is there for one race.
No, but Monaco is not quite what it used to be business-wise.
Yes,
a lot of business gets done now
Abu Dhabi as well.
in Abu Dhabi, Singapore.
But Monaco is still up there because the people live there.
But the major point of this is that Fernando
Well,
Alonso...
what is it was described as? Singapore is where the contracts are signed that the handshakes are made on in Monaco.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the major point of all this is that Fernando Alonso has turned around and said, look, I want to go and do the Indy 500. And McLaren have been like, well, you stuck with us through all this really terrible
Do you seriously
time.
think it was that polite?
No, he's like, I'm going to go and do the Indy 500.
Or I'm going to go now.
Yeah, and McLaren have been like, well, you stuck by us through all the time. We'll let you do the Indy 500 instead of the Monaco GP. That's fine. But, let's see if we can work out a deal between us. And that's why it's come out that it's going to be a McLaren Honda Andretti, and they've probably helped him get that car in the Indy 500.
Did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's
good for Formula One and it's good for motor racing. And
I'm
it's good
looking
for
forward-
people like us because we get to talk about
Yeah,
things.
I mean, they could have done something 2 weeks later and they missed the Canadian Grand Prix to take part in the America's Cup semi-finals.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I'm looking forward to the Monaco Grand Prix now because it's
Oh, I am, obviously.
well, yeah. Leah's really looking forward to the Monaco Grand Prix. But I'm more so looking forward to it because, let's be honest, Jenson Button's never been terrible around Monaco for a start. And also, power doesn't matter. Chassis matters. And at the moment, that car is quick round corners.
Apparently so.
What I would
If
say
that
though,
if that car has had its vibrations fixed by Spain, and Spain is an okay-ish race for McLaren in relation to the start of their season, then Monaco they could go into Monaco with like, right, well, let's just get the car to the end. Button could well score points.
well, what I would
McLaren.
say though, Monaco is bumpy.
Yeah,
It is.
I was just going to say
If they've got any trouble with vibration, Monaco is going to make
Well,
it worse.
they seem to think that the vibration issues will be sorted out
Before
in
that.
May.
Yeah.
The vibration issues caused by the engine,
Yeah.
but then there's vibration issues that will be caused by the road surface.
I think it's damage limitation with it.
Yeah.
However, McLaren are good at putting a temporary driver in a car for one race and him scoring the first points of the season.
Yeah. I think it'd be double retirement.
It could well be, but I mean, it's not. I'm not just pouring lots of praise upon Jenson Button here as well, but Van Dorn could well do very well as well. It's going to be like an equalising circuit for McLaren, and if it is as good through the corners as we think it is, it could be a point scoring opportunity.
It would be nice.
And it does seem, in that respect, it does seem a little bit silly that Fernando Alonso's gone. That really good race we got a chance to score points in, not going to be there.
Yeah. I don't understand it. I don't understand McLaren allowing it.
Well, it's PR for Honda as well.
It works for McLaren. It's good for them.
Do you
I mean,
see,
the
I can't-
situation that they're in that means that they have to do this for it to.
I know
be good
I know
is
what you
shit,
mean. I
but-
know what you mean. It being good for McLaren, but I can't help but think that there must be other people that think like I think. It's that things are that bad that this has happened, and to me that overshadows. Because it's
But
all
they can't hide that it's not that bad. They can't say, no, you
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
miss Monaco
No,
and
you're
do
right,
Indy
yeah.
because we're doing really well.
But when you've got every other Formula One driver coming out and saying, "I don't understand what he's doing," why would you? Hulkenberg saying, "I drove the 24 hours." He said, "I'd have never done that if it was a Formula One race that involved missing."
But when Hulkenberg did Le Mans, he wasn't in an absolute dog of a car.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But when you've got drivers saying they still can't understand why, and Fernando is doing it,
But that-
even the situation he's in.
Yeah, but that shows just exactly how bad
Yeah.
the McLaren is, because other drivers can't even contemplate being in that situation, and
Yeah.
that includes being in that car.
And talking of being in that car, if the rumours are to be believed of talks that may or may not have happened during Bahrain, Fernando Alonso may have already been looking at the exit door at McLaren before.
Well, I think he is looking at the exit door. There's no
If
if.
he's got any sense, he will be driving something that doesn't have a Honda engine in it next year.
He's
Where-
looking at going to Renault, back to Renault for a third spell, is the reported talks that happened
We
during
keep
Bahrain.
we keep joking about he'll probably do this.
I've never joked about it. I've always thought he would end up going back to Renault.
I can't see him taking that big of a risk. I can't see him going back next year unless they're in a race-winning position by the end of this year.
That's the only thing I can think is if Renault can do enough this year, or because don't forget the other thing we were thinking is what they have behind the scenes. You know, he could have gone for a factory tour and they could have laid out their fucking 5-year plan
Yeah.
to him. And I'm sure McLaren laid out their 5-year plan as well. But
McLaren seem to have a new 5-year plan every year because
Yeah.
they don't
Every
get
5
what they need
minutes.
from Honda, and
Yeah.
they have to change it again.
yeah,
Yeah, Zach Brown was very telling, wasn't he, in that interview where he said, we need to improve, our partners need to improve.
Couldn't even mention the name.
yeah.
Everyone knows
Well,
who
that's-
the weak link is.
That's going back to 2014 McLaren, where they used to say, our partners seem to have a bit of a weakness. We're working
Yeah.
together to sort of...
2015, yeah, when they had
sorry,
those
20
on there, yeah.
Yeah. So that seems like a bit of an improvement in the relationship. Does anyone else wonder if Alonso's gone for a tour around the Williams factory?
I've thought that the only issue I think with Williams is that it's not a works drive. I think Honda wants a works drive. I think there's more chance of a Renault winning a world championship than a Williams. Even right now, even though Williams is further up the grid from it, Williams is really good at being the 4th best team on the grid. Really
Yeah.
good at it. And it's I still don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that you could see him take Kimi's seat and go back to Ferrari.
It's possible. But again, it's all just speculation at the
Do you
moment.
want to know my speculation for it? That he's going to turn around because I still don't think the Mercedes seat's out of line because I don't think Kovalainen.
Welcome to 2008.
That speaks volumes about Bottas. I don't think Bottas is going to be in the car next year, but I do think in a massive PR storm, which is Mercedes would I think want a slice of, Fernando will centre it and say, "I will drive the car for nothing."
Possibly.
And
Yeah.
I don't think Mercedes at that point can. If they can manage the relationship between Hamilton and Alonso, which I think they probably could.
I think Hamilton would be a lot happier about losing a race to Fernando Alonso
Yeah, I do.
than to Nico Rosberg.
Yes.
It's a more mature Lewis Hamilton now than it was when they were teammates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently Hamilton had a bit of a jibe with Alonso when he first bumped into him this weekend and said something about Indy cars, which they shared a bit of a roaring laugh joke with each other, and then threw their arms around each other and then went their separate ways. So they have sort of buried the hatchet, if you will.
I'd
and,
also
moved on with
say
it.
that
Paul.
a Fernando Alonso that was competing for wins with Hamilton would do more to help Hamilton win a championship than Bottas being 20, 30 seconds down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Because let's face it, if Kimi stepped it up, or they had a different driver in the Ferrari, then it's Hamilton would be fighting 2 Ferraris.
Exactly. But it's all just speculation at the moment. We think talks may have taken place between Enstone team and Fernando Alonso representatives. Could be nothing. Could just be a sounding out, much like Mercedes and McLaren sounding out thing. What else have we got?
I'm sure it'll all come out in the silly season.
It will.
You might hear a little bit of a jump cut now. YouTube are going to carry on broadcasting. Time to just do a pause for the podcast. So apparently the next thing that we've got is Max Verstappen has apologised to Brazil.
Yeah.
What?
All of them?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
he had to.
Yeah.
After Felipe Massa sort of impeded Max Verstappen's lap time in qualifying, he was asked post-qualifying, are you going to speak to Felipe about that? And it was like, well, I would, but he's Brazilian, so it won't make any difference.
See, is this might be the beginning of sort of like part of the world I hate now.
And then Massa turned round and said, I would warn him against saying things like that against my country people. And then Max Verstappen got a hail of hate
But this
on
is
Twitter
the thing. This
from
is the
Brazilians.
thing. Massa made that what it turned out to be.
Didn't need to be, did it?
No.
Verstappen kind of made it what it turned out to be.
No,
But
but do you know what?
Verstappen
I don't want to
apologised.
live in a world where people are so scared to say anything because it's un-PC.
But Verstappen apologised and said, "Look, I'm an emotional driver. It was I was emotions running high. I'm passionate about what I do, and that just came out. I'm sorry if I offended anyone.
Yeah.
And that's the way you say sorry.
But
And
the top
that
and bottom
should be
of
the
it
end
is
of it.
Latin people are a bit shouty sometimes. I don't consider that racist to say that hot-headed comes to mind.
Anyone can be.
Yeah, I know anyone can be, but no, come on. There is certain like Italians are known for being loud and passionate about things and
Yeah,
wave
yeah.
their arms a lot. The
British will always talk about the weather.
Yeah, there are tropes.
Suck on their teeth and write a strongly worded letter to the Daily Mail.
Yes, but there are tropes between all manner of people all over the world, and I don't think picking up on those tropes is a bad thing. I don't think it comes from a bad place.
It's not necessarily. No, I don't think Max meant to cause offence by it. Put it that way.
No.
But he has come out and apologised and said that he.
But I think it's shit that we live in a world where he had to apologise.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's my problem.
Right, what we got next? Bahrain test. 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yes.
The Young Drivers Test, featuring
Everyone.
Gary
including
Paffett.
Gary Paffett.
Yeah, former McLaren test driver Gary Paffett, who
Hasn't done 2 Grand Prix, so he qualifies as a young driver.
He does indeed. Despite the fact he's 36 years old, he will be in the Williams on Wednesday after Lance Stroll and Felipe Massa share duties on Tuesday.
It is a bit ridiculous that their young driver is twice the age of one of their not young drivers.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
Lance Stroll.
In a time of fucking like such little team testing, the tests should just be tests, and it should be up to the team what drivers
But
they
they've
run.
written these regulations in that 50% of the test must be by a driver that hasn't raced in 2
Yeah.
Grand Prix.
Well, I think
I qualify for a young driver's test.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think Vettel's doing 1 day in Ferrari, but the other day's actually been taken up by Antonio Giovinazzi. He's actually doing the Ferrari. So.
Technically still a young driver because he's only done 2 races.
yeah.
And
Or one and a bit.
one on a bit. Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas are sharing the Mercedes test.
Which means that Mercedes are going to have to get some youth in at the post Silverstone one.
Yeah. Somebody who's perhaps not ever been involved in Formula
The
1
top and
before.
bottom of it is it costs an awful lot of money to put a Formula 1 car on the track. Just let them run the drivers they want to because they're doing it for the benefit of their team anyway.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the year in the Abu Dhabi test, when the season's finished, then have a test like Monday, Tuesday. That it literally is if you have raced if you've raced Formula 1 that year, you cannot be part of that test.
Yeah, but I think Pierre Gasly's doing one of the days in Red Bull,
Yeah.
and Alfonso Celis Jr. is doing the one of the days in the Force India.
Yeah, that'll be just before he takes Kvyat's seat.
So, yeah, the main drivers are still there,
Yeah.
and I don't think that's really the idea behind having this test. Is it Silverstone the next test?
I think it's 2 days after Silverstone is the next one.
Right, and they have to the teams who aren't running a young driver in this test have to run one in that test.
Well, there's got to be two of the testing days done by young drivers.
Right.
So if the fully experienced lineup is running in this one, then it stands to reason that it's going to have to be all young drivers for the next.
I'm
Yeah.
guessing there's a Pirelli tyre test after Abu Dhabi, is there?
I've not seen the Pirelli tyre test schedule, but there's plenty of them this year. I have noticed that Pirelli have released the testing schedule for tyres next year, and every team is involved.
Good.
For
Well,
the
they
first
should be.
time.
I mean, it was good that they got the top teams to test the 2017 tyres last year, but yeah, might have been a little bit unfair in certain areas. When you look at the 4 teams that did test them, are now the three of those 4 teams are well up front at the moment.
I think they invited all the teams last year, didn't they? But
Not all of them could take part.
it wasn't cheap to take part.
Yes,
so
Sauber couldn't afford it, and Force India, I think it was, complained that they were getting nothing in return for it.
yeah.
Fair enough.
That is all the news we've got. We've got NASAgate written down here, but I think we've
covered that.
We've covered
Yeah.
that.
We've covered that tonight. That brings us on to Formula Lee.
Formula Lee.
Yes.
Bahrain in the wet.
Yes.
Horrible.
Not easy. Not easy at all.
Utterly terrible.
Yeah, it took me a couple of goes to normally I can do a Formula Lee lap and I can go around the circuit a few seconds off the pace, and then about 10-15 laps in I'm like, right, I'm on it now, and then I'm not that far away from my final time that I would set. No, not this time round. Bahrain in the wet is a pain in the ass.
And it was all your fault.
It was all my fault for beating Lee last time out,
Yes.
apparently.
Yeah.
I don't think I beat him this time. I think it was about a tenth and a half down on Lee this time.
You were. Now, the inter-team competition that we've got between all of us,
Yeah.
well, none of us scored points in the rail race.
No. I didn't think I would.
I am officially calling you Lee Esteban.
Oh, my
Lee's
lowest
11th.
11th.
Lee got Esteban. Lee got Esteban at 1 minute to 6.
So it's unusual for me not to be in the points in it, really.
Yeah, you were in the points right until
How many people did we have in?
you got Gutierrez. It was a short one. It was a short one this week, so we only had 34 entries.
Ah, well.
Only 34.
I'll say 33 and a half because Barnaby Lee did have a time, but there was a little disqualification flag next to it, so he's down as a DNF rather than a DNS. Yeah, Lee, you won the 3 legs 4 wheels competition, 11th overall.
It's all a minute for.
Chris, you were second. Your time was a 1:46.754. I got third between us with a 1:47.032, and bringing up the rear was Bouncer Dan with 1:48.181.
Keeping us in check, though.
What, you doing in a tank?
I just couldn't be bothered. It wasn't fun. Your challenge wasn't fun, Lee.
I had that with...
It's not supposed to be fun, Dan.
Don't forget, he takes his fun seriously.
Yeah, I did
as
that
should
with,
we.
with
Serious
the Mexico
fun
race
I
last
have.
year. When the Mexico, in the manor in the wet, after like, for like third hour of me trying to do a decent lap and not manage it, I was like, I'm not entering this week.
Yeah, when we were doing that one, I wasn't entirely sure what had more holes in, a tea bag or that little voodoo doll I keep of you.
Yeah, that was mean. So
Exactly how big are these holes you've got in the doll of me?
Normal pin size.
Pin size.
Pin.
anyway,
WTF.
top 10, Paul.
Top 10. Top 10. Right, we have in 10th place Sam Hyde with a 1:46.509.
So 1:46.5 was your breakthrough for
That
the
was
top 10.
yeah. That was that was just to get in the points. I was thinking it would be in the 1:47s earlier in the week, but we had some decent quality drivers in there. 9th was, and I hope I'm saying this right, but Visha Camping, 1:46.452. Darren Entwistle, regular competitor.
Hello, Darren.
He's in 8th with a 1:46.271. Chris Rowden, 1:46.229. He was the one that Esteban Dewey was the last time to go in.
Bellend.
You got Senad. Freddie
Hang
Brunner
on.
in 6th, 1:45.859. Finn Wilson, one of our Australian listeners, 1:45.817. Dave the Flying Flynn in fourth,
Oh,
1:45.737. Pete Bull was third, 1:45.587. Luke Nipper in second place, 1:45.260. He was tweeting me all week going, I'm not submitting my final time yet. I know I can get faster. I know I can get faster. I know I can do better.
1:45.
And he got a 1:45.260.
Good God, that's
What a
a
lap.
second and a half quicker than me.
But the winner, and I'm getting some correlation here because every time Vettel wins a race, so does Jeff Sharp.
Right.
Jeff Vettel.
Jeff Vettel, who, looking at the PlayStation times, because I'm friends with him on PS Network, was the 12th fastest driver in the world on a wet Bahrain.
Good man.
Well done.
1:44.802.
Jesus.
But Joe, the fastest times were in the 1:43. But I tell you what, he will be if they're
That will be the fastest Red Bull.
the fastest Red Bull.
Yeah.
And I got my time with his setup.
Very good.
So you're jumping on the back of
Because
his
I didn't,
success
yeah,
vicariously.
I didn't know he was a part of our part of Formula Lee, but I just went through the list until I found the fastest, Red Bull,
Yeah.
and then took that setup.
Yeah, that'll have been Jeff. You didn't have too far to look.
No, thank you very much, but I really should have gone quicker.
We also have a bit of a special Formula Lee announcement to make.
Yes,
Yes, there will be an end of season prize.
A
finally.
big
A
prize.
big prize. We want to thank Niall Slim Drew for this.
Lee's favourite clump
Lee's favourite clump of words, who has very generously offered to donate a £40 or local currency equivalent, either PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, or Amazon voucher to the overall winner this season. Niall, thank you very, very much.
Yeah.
Wow, basically. Of course, if anyone else wants to donate prizes as well. Chris, is that a guitar I see in your hand?
Yes. Have you had any suggestions through? Because I've got one potential possibility if nobody's bothered.
Right, let me...
Because we're for anyone listening to the podcast, if you hadn't already guessed, we are doing this on YouTube and people are joining in with YouTube comments. And I asked before for people to send in YouTube comments for suggestions for the Total Shunt theme tune.
Yeah, and I'm having a look, and
You see none.
I see none. Nobody sent them in. That is bad. Right, Chris, can I just ask you to move around a little bit so you're on camera?
No, really.
This is the bit that Lee was meant to get up and move the camera a little bit, but Chris has sorted it.
It's alright, I'm here now.
You're there.
I'm
So,
here.
can we hear the guitar? Yep, that's working.
Good.
So,
Am I good to go?
you are good to go.
Everybody get up, sing it.
3, 4.
Who's a total shunt now?
Baby, bring it on down. That's
From our earlier conversation.
I was going to say that's cheating because we used to do that in a band.
Yeah, a little bit.
I was wondering how you knew the
Just a
the
little bit.
call and responsey bits.
Yeah, we found one night when we were bored of playing it that fits in great with the chorus of Sweet Home Alabama, so we just launched into it and it kind of stuck.
It did. So yeah, hopefully that wasn't too traumatic for everyone.
Let's.
I'm traumatised.
Are you traumatized? We've
Pretty
traumatized
much, yeah.
the bouncer. So, shall we start with this week's Total Shunt?
Are we ready?
We are ready. Everyone on YouTube ready? No googling. And,
No Daniel.
No googling and no Daniel.
Because Daniel sent this one in.
Yes, he did.
Right, okay. How many clues do we have?
10.
A number.
10.
10.
Yeah.
So we've got to make a guess after the third clue and after the sixth clue.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I was born in 1930.
1930. Okay.
Right. So either old or dead.
Yeah, well, yeah, quite old by now, yes.
87.
Yeah.
I started racing motorcycles in my home country when I was 17.
I think this is probably Murray Walker.
Isn't he older than that?
I thought
Isn't
Murray
he
Walker was. I think
in
it was
his
his 90th
90s?
last
Yeah.
year.
Was it?
Yeah.
So he is older than that then. So maybe not Murray Walker. So started racing motorcycles in the home country at 17. Was that at least?
Yeah. I was the first professional driver from my country.
I'm guessing he's not English.
No,
Something
probably
tells
not.
me no. First guess on YouTube was from Alex. He said Murray Walker, and
I think
we've ruled that out now.
Yes, 1930. The first professional driver from my country.
I need a guess.
You do need a guess.
Um,
So, if somebody was born in 1930, they're probably in Formula... If they made it to Formula 1, of course.
They would have been in the 50s.
Late 50s, early 60s, possibly.
yeah.
But like Fangio.
That would be the Argentina, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got no other guess at the moment, have we?
I tell you what, not to sound stupid, I wish I'd read these questions.
Hang on, no,
before, 'cause there
Fangio
are
was
some
up.
complicated words going on around here.
Fangio was older than that, I think. But I mean, it was no harm in the first guess, is it really?
Has anyone got any?
I've got nothing
no.
else.
More clever
I've got nothing
ideas?
else.
I
now.
want one. I want an answer.
Yeah, well, we'll
Fangio.
go with that.
Fangio, I'm not Fangio.
Yeah. So that's the third clue out of the way. Go on, start with the fourth.
I have one. Now, I'm guessing the pronunciation of this because I don't know. Targa Ferrano? Is that ring
That sounds
bells?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 times in 1960 and 1963.
Okay.
Right. I've heard of the race, but I
Let's have a fifth clue because we're not going to get that from that, are we?
No.
To be honest.
I had a cameo appearance in the John Frankenheimer's Grand Prix.
That's the
the
movie about Grand Prix racing.
Yes.
The fact that these people are getting these means I'm pronouncing it properly.
Yeah.
The one with Jim Rockford in it.
Yeah.
Who had cameo appearances in that then? Racing drivers.
Everyone that was racing at the time. Because
Formula One races?
Everyone in Formula One, because they filmed a load of Formula One races with the actual drivers.
Okay.
In the early 70s, I managed my own team in the World Sports Car Championship, now World Endurance Championship.
Ooh. Right.
I think it could be someone like Alan Mann. But then again, he wasn't the first professional driver from Britain or England or Wales. He might even be Welsh, I think, actually, Alan Mann. Possibly.
Where's Sean Kelly when you need him? Even though I beat him last week.
We need to give another answer, don't we?
Yeah.
Ran their own GT sports car team in the early 70s. And probably took part in Formula One in the 60s.
Yeah, because Grand Prix was 68?
Yeah, 67, 68.
I think you're onto something here, Daniel.
Do you?
No, not Daniel. I'm talking to Daniel.
Daniel Gustafsson.
Daniel, not Bouncer Dan.
Yeah.
Francois Sievert?
No, he was a bit later than that.
Yeah, we're going to have to go for a guess on this one as well, aren't we?
We are. Who ran their own sports car team in the early 70s?
No idea.
Usually people with lots of money.
Yeah.
Which would be the same group of people as the ones who were Grand Prix drivers in the 50s and 60s.
That is true. How old's Jackie Stewart?
He was still racing Formula One in the early 70s.
And I'd be surprised if he was the first
Professional
Scottish
Scottish driver?
driver, yeah.
He's a professional Scotsman these days.
He is.
The walking shortbread tin.
Yeah, always wearing the tartan. All of it. He's even got the Westie sort of style hair now, hasn't he? He just looks like a walking human Westie. I have no idea. Actually, no idea.
Should we just throw Francois Sievert out just to
it won't.
just because we need
It's
a
a
guess?
name.
Yeah,
It won't
Francois
be.
Sievert.
I'm not. Maserati, Lotus, Porsche, Ferrari, McLaren. The list goes on. It's difficult to think of something I haven't driven.
James May.
The year of birth's right.
tell you what, Daniel, this is a bloody tough one.
It is, yeah. I think Daniel
And,
might have stumped 3 legs, 4
Alex,
wheels with
it's
this
not
one.
Claire Williams. We can tell this much.
Yeah. So driven a lot of cars. Run through that list again. Sorry.
It's you might get it. You might get it, whether it's Claire Williams or not when I go down to question 10 because that's penis size.
W tell.
Sorry, would you like the next
Ju-
question?
No, just the teams that you mentioned in that one.
Maserati,
Yeah,
Porsche,
yeah.
Lotus,
Mm-hmm.
Ferrari, McLaren.
Lotus, Ferrari, and McLaren are the 3 bigger ones there.
Yeah.
Maserati would have been a big team.
They
back then,
would
wouldn't
have been
it?
big back then.
Yeah, in the 50s they were huge. Yeah.
Lotus would have been on the big side as well.
They were quite,
yeah,
quite well known.
Yeah.
Lotus, Ferrari, and McLaren
Yeah.
are the 3 big ones that you would really associate with then and now.
I'm assuming it's going to be someone from a smaller country.
Oh God, it's not Prince Bearer again, is it? That wasn't a guess.
Someone like perhaps Clay Regazzoni, although he was a bit late towards the in Formula One. He was
He was racing
70s.
Formula One in the late 70s, so he
Yeah.
wouldn't be a team manager in the early 70s.
And certainly not racing round about the time that they filmed the Grand Prix movie.
No.
Phil Hill. What was he up to? He was more. I think looking at the.
Oh, there was definitely professional American drivers before him. I think
Yeah, I'd be thinking somewhere like Liechtenstein or...
Andorra.
Yeah.
Yeah, some country that only exists for tax reasons.
The Isle of Man.
We're gonna
It's
need
Mansell!
we are gonna need another clue, I think, Lee.
What's your next clue? My first Grand Prix was the Italian Grand Prix in 1956. My last Grand Prix was the US Grand Prix in 1971. I can't help but feel
Yeah.
old virtual Statman would have had it on these 2 questions on 7. and
Yeah,
eight.
I think he would have. I think he would have got it already. He would have got it like first one.
Alex, you're not helping. It's not Sonic the Hedgehog.
Alex, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog.
So it was 15 years a Formula One racing driver. I will say someone like Peter Gethin. Peter Gethin drove an awful lot of cars in his time.
Yeah.
And he did drive a McLaren, definitely, because he was, I think, the only man to have won a race from the back of the grid.
Sean?
I'm fairly sure he is. And I don't know where Peter Gethin's from. I don't know if he's English or if he's Welsh or what. I've no idea. Well, we would count as British, I guess, wouldn't he? As a racing driver, so... Okay, go on then. Next clue.
Do I not need an answer?
Is that,
8.
8. We're giving you 2.
We're giving you 2, so...
Oh, have you? All
yeah.
right, sorry. Miles away.
So we've still got 9 and 10 before we have to do the final guess.
I did 104 starts in Formula One, and had 1 win. 13 starts in Le Mans and only finished. Sorry, I haven't got my glasses on here.
Lee's putting his glasses on.
13 starts in Le Mans and my only finish was 2nd place in 1964 with Graham Hill as my co-driver.
God, should know this.
I saw this on the programme and I thought that guy would be really good to have as a total something.
Yeah.
Being who was Graham Hill's partner when he won Le Mans, but
Graham Hill's partner, I will give you a clue. It's not Mrs. Hill. Not Mrs. Hill.
I can't remember who it was.
There's been a few people put Graham Hill just before that question.
Go on, carry on, Lee.
I'll also point out that
How many clues left? 1.
this is it. This is your last
Oh,
question.
good God.
Above this, he said, and if they still haven't got it yet,
Yep.
Which we haven't.
Which we haven't.
In 2012, my family's publication house re-released my autobiography.
Bob Penguin.
Quietly ruined me that, Dan.
No, Daniel's stumped me on this one because
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Martin Ladybird.
I'm sure it's probably going to be someone because he's now getting his own back for us, beating on Scandinavian drivers all the time. But I can't think of who it might be.
Right, I'm just going to the YouTube comments for
Just
suggestions.
going to Wikipedia. I might have an idea.
Yeah, from anyone that isn't Alex. No, it's not Grace Kelly. Andrew Price says Joe Bonnier. What else have we got? Dave Flynn Pesarolo. Andrew Price says he's sticking with Bonnier. Zane agrees with him. Should we take the internet's view on this and say Joe Bonnier?
But we can't take the point for it.
We can't take the point. It would be Andrew Pryor that gets the point. Are you Joe Bonnier?
I am.
That's an obscure one.
Yeah.
That was
Obscure. I'm surprised the amount of people that got it on the magic box.
one person got it.
Oh, I thought you said a couple of people had it.
Zane agreed with him.
Ah, right. Okay.
Andrew put it a couple of times.
I am going to applaud Daniel for that one. That's how it should
Yeah.
be played. That's
Yeah.
very
That
good.
is
That's
fantastic,
very good.
Daniel. That is
Wonderful. We
Yeah.
can't take the point for that at all.
no, Andrew Pryor. This week you are a total shunt.
We got
Just
a little bit of a mailbag
Just quickly,
to do, or-
again, definitely get more into me. I've got a couple of there, but send them in and I'll pick the best ones that I think are going to be.
send them in on Twitter at a total shunt. Because if you send them to 3 Legs 4 Wheels, we all get to see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't dispose the surprise for the rest
And
of us.
don't send them send them in a private message to me.
Yeah, private messages
Yeah.
you can do more than 140
And
characters as well.
don't private message on Facebook either because we've all got access to that too.
Yeah, just to me.
So yes.
Yeah, we do have a bit of a mailbag. Chris, there's one that you missed from last week.
There is Enrique Villarreal asked a question specifically
the
to-
football team, man.
Yeah. Ricky, what's Villarreal? Castle?
Enrique Villarreal, it's Richard Castle.
Richard Castle. Ricky Castle.
Richard Castle
Yep.
from off of that TV show.
Yes.
So, Enrique Villarreal asked, we didn't get a chance to
Oh, no, sorry, it's
explore
Eric.
it.
Eric is Enrique.
Is it?
Yeah.
We didn't get a chance to explore it for the 100th show that we did. We ran out of time with having Virtual Statman on as a guest and that. But he asked me what I would do if I
And the
was...
whole of technology going.
Yeah, he asked me what I would do if I was Chase Carey and had the Liberty Media. How would I improve the viewership for American fans in Formula
I would
1?
have concubines twirling my mustache.
Well, that's
That wouldn't help the viewership.
it's an impressive moustache, isn't it? But
It's
the
fantastic.
yeah.
It's there to cover up a scar that you got in a car crash.
yes,
Good
It
way.
is so.
It is a functional tash.
Good way of doing
I
it.
think we need free to air Formula 1, even if it's just from the 5-minute ident until after the podium interviews. Something that has to be free so that everyone gets at least a little bit of Formula 1. If you want
Right.
subscription, I think the way things are going, it's going to have to be some sort of like streaming service or something like that.
I think that's the future. A Formula One streaming service that comes straight from Formula One itself, which like Formula One then goes and buys up, because I don't know how the rights.
like a network, similar
Yeah,
to
yeah.
WWE Network,
Exactly,
as you'll be
yeah.
familiar with being
They-
a wrestling fan.
The WWE are absolutely fucking smashing what they should be doing by turning around and putting your whole library up and saying, well, you used to pay $25 for a pay-per-view, or $50 for pay-per-views, £25 on Sky. You can have all the pay-per-views and all our back catalogues for $9.99 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like them saying, right, well, you used to pay £30 a month for Sky Sports. We'll stream it to you. It's £10 a month.
Yeah, I saw a comment on Twitter.
That's the
from,
way forward from
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, saw a comment on Twitter from an American comedian yesterday who'd missed the race, and he said, "How do I watch a rerun of the race legally?" And the best answer that anyone could come up with was, "Wait till the season review DVD comes out, and you'll just have to watch it on that."
Yeah,
Seriously,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's no good at all. You can't have things like that where there's no option to. We're quite lucky in the fact that we've got the Sky Sports Formula One channel.
Yeah.
Which we do get classic race highlights on.
Yeah,
if
but it's
you-
not. It's and Johnny Herbert story every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not.
And of
You
course,
have to subscribe to it.
Inside Williams, which now she's pregnant, that takes a different view on things.
But you have to subscribe.
Did
to
I just
Sky.
make a WTF?
Yes, yes, you did. It's not
I'm trying to
something
gloss
to be
over
proud
it here,
of.
guys. Come on. But yeah,
Come on,
yeah,
it's fine.
help me,
It's fine.
please help me. But you have to subscribe to Sky to start with, then you have to subscribe extra to get the sports channel or the sports package that F1's included with. So that's not ideal globally anyway.
Then you have to ring them up and pretend to cancel it so they knock
so
some
you
money
get a
off
better-
it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you get a better price.
And then one of these days they're going to pull my bluff.
So
I'm
Formula
not going to
One-
have it.
Formula One creating their own network, to me, or licensing it to somebody to create a network for a subscription fee, for me is the best way for fans to get all access coverage.
Yeah.
But I do believe there needs to be free to air, and the minimum it should be is the race on a Sunday live on free to air TV.
recording?
The timer's still going up.
The timer's still going, but the display's not working.
Ooh, YouTubers, you're in for a treat here.
The other thing is, I'll be interested to see what sport and who does it that ends up being the first live sport on Netflix.
Yeah, that will happen as
happen
well.
at some point.
Yeah.
That will happen.
And I like the idea. I can't. If Formula One didn't want to go to the effort of sorting their whole back catalogue out and doing that sort of thing, it would be quite easy to sell Formula One as a season to
Yeah, I mean, you could sell like a season
a streaming
pass, yeah.
service.
yeah.
And also you could, like I was just about to say,
Well, no,
you
they'd
could-
sell the season to Netflix essentially.
Yeah, but you
So.
could also, with your own network, as I was discussing before, you could sell like a season pass. Your pass starts on, day before the first race or like first practice session, and it ends when the race is finished. If you want all
Yeah.
the extra stuff, classic races and stuff that happen,
Yeah.
you can watch in the off season. Then you pay the full thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the NFL do that with their season pass, although the NFL have actually done the first sport on Amazon Prime.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
On live Amazon Prime.
Yeah, Thursday night NFL games in this season are going to be streamed on Amazon Prime. It was Twitter last year.
Well, to be perfectly honest, with YouTube getting more, I mean, I know it's not good for content creators like the sort of professional YouTubers, which if we're brutally honest, are amateur like media people.
Yeah.
It's even if you're a professional YouTuber, it's not YouTube doesn't seem to be going well for them. But I think what that's going to end up doing is, as the advertising starts getting closed in more on YouTube, you're going to find YouTube's going to become more condensed and more polished in a way,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
it's going to be a massive on-demand television station essentially.
What was it? The Indian Premier League couldn't get a TV deal the
Yeah.
other year.
So they started on-
cricket,
put it
so
on
they did it on
YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah, there's been a few things that the WWE pre-show before the WrestleMania that was broadcast on YouTube, and I don't. It's not a terrible idea for Formula One at all.
No.
No, not whatsoever.
No.
But then you've got to get your advertising in order because if you're putting your sport out free to air to everybody in the world, there's got to be money coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
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 Streaming sport content live for subscription packages it's relatively new, and
Yeah.
the sport administrators are still testing the water with it. They're trying to find out what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
The technology's now there to do it. They've just got to work out how much they have to charge
I think the top and bottom is as
and
well.
what money can be brought in.
Channels are slowly, maybe not now, not yet, but television channels are starting to feel antiquated.
Yeah.
It's you can tell that having a TV station doesn't hold the weight it used to because Sky Movies has fucking Sky Movies Harry Potter or something, you know. So the outlay people have to pay to get these services clearly isn't shown in how much it actually costs to provide them anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's basically just customers getting fisted at that point.
Pretty much. Another question that we've got, and this has been she's been asking this repeatedly and haranguing us on the YouTube comments. Another one from Janet. What other motorsports do we watch?
A few.
Wrestling.
That's not a motorsport.
I enjoy MotoGP when I can watch it.
I like
I used to
Yeah.
watch it quite a lot when it was available on free to air TV, but I watch it less now that it's not.
I watch it because Paul gave me the password to his BT Sports.
MotoGP, basically the Formula One of motorcycles. The racing is a lot closer with the motorcycles than
Lots
you
more
tend to
overtakes.
get there than you tend to get with cars, and also a lot more unpredictable as well. You know, somebody can be out ahead by 3 or 4 seconds, you know, halfway through the race. And in Formula One, that generally means they're going to be, you know, at least on the podium, if not nailed on for a win. Whereas in MotoGP, they could finish 5th.
Yeah,
because-
MotoGP is more like Mario Kart. You've got to be ahead 2 corners before the end of the last lap to guarantee a win.
Well, no,
But
not
not
even
always.
that. Yeah, not even that. Yeah, it's
To be fair, MotoGP's been it's pretty stunning this year.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's,
MotoGP can be very
Not,
good. I
not
like
seen
MotoGP.
any of it this year.
it's been really good.
I used to enjoy touring cars, British Touring Car Championship.
That lost its magic.
It's lost
years
its
ago.
magic now, though. Yeah, it's not quite as competitive as it used to be. That was all because of the global financial crisis way back, 10 years ago now. That's when that started getting boring. And rallying as well for me, World Rally Championship. I do enjoy watching that.
Yeah, I enjoy the World Rally Championship, but I find it very difficult to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just something that doesn't translate very well for me.
You can't watch it as it's happening. You only can watch really like a highlight.
Yeah.
Which is why WRC are bringing in more of these super stages in stadiums now, where you get the 2 drivers racing off against each other.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of MotoGP as well. Obviously F2,
And the Isle of Man TT, of
and we
course.
all go and watch the Isle of Man TT.
I haven't seen a bike on the Isle of Man for 7 years.
You should go watch the racing.
I know.
It's
I
good.
should do.
Yeah,
Bit of Formula E, stock cars sometimes, local banger racing.
Yeah.
which we can hear from here during the summer.
Yeah.
I was just going to say I've tried to give Formula E far too many chances to the fact I feel like some sort of battered wife now. every time I watch it, and I walk away thinking, what am I doing wrong?
It's soulless, isn't it? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I just don't connect with Formula E at all.
No.
I have given it a couple of chances, but it's just I don't know. It's
You,
something.
you get occasional great races.
But that's the problem. Occasional.
Yeah.
But you could say that about Formula One as well, though.
Yeah, but in Formula E, it's too often processional.
Do you know what I think the problem is? It's not fast enough to be interesting, and I don't.
There's no
think-
noise.
It's nothing to do with noise. It's not fast enough, and I don't think the roster of drivers is deep enough to make it. When someone wins a MotoGP, when somebody wins a Formula E race, they've won a Formula E race. But it's not like when somebody wins a Formula One race. Fuck, you've won a Formula One race.
Yeah. When someone wins a Formula 2 race, that could be a star of the future.
Exactly.
When someone wins a Formula E race, I remember them from when they were in Formula 1.
I thought they were going to be a star of the future at one point
Yeah.
until their Formula One career fell to bits.
Until Red Bull sacked him, usually.
Yeah.
That's what I think every time I look at Nick Heidfeld.
In his world of disappointment.
Nick Heidfeld's world of disappointment. Come now. See all the
That's-
disappointing things I didn't achieve.
See, this is why Nico Hulkenberg has to win a race at least.
Oh, I think he's a nicer guy than Nick Heidfeld.
Yeah, I do, but I think he's a nicer guy than Nick Heidfeld as well. But he is on a one-way trip to Heidfeldville at the minute, isn't he?
Heidfeld's world of disappointment, featuring Vitaly Petrov.
It's in the same way as Valtteri Bottas is screaming towards becoming the next Barrichello.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone that sent in questions.
Thank you for saving us when our laptop broke.
Yeah, and I'm
wanted to
still
talk
hoping it
about
hasn't broken terminally because that graphic still hasn't moved, but it's claiming to still be recording.
It's recording, it's
We'll have
fine.
to. I'll drag something out of there somehow. Lee, you're going to set the Russia Formula Lee challenge in the next
Now.
day or so. You want to do it now?
Now.
Do you want to do it now?
Russia daytime.
So hang on,
like,
people
afternoon.
watching this now get a slight head start over people, unless we put it on Facebook straight away.
Controversial. Russia, afternoon, dry.
Thank God for that.
What car?
We've not used a
We haven't
Sauber.
had a Sauber yet.
We've not used a Renault yet.
I can't even find Saubers in the menu. Renault.
Renault.
Yeah.
So, afternoon, dry, in a Renault.
Yeah.
In
We
Sochi.
can't pick Sauber because people just keep going round that thing and round it and round it and round it, and then they just won't do it because they can't find it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not in the menu.
No.
Couldn't find it.
Is it a
My
cheap-
car's not appearing on the screen.
Yeah. We would have 0 entries for Formula Lee in 2 weeks'
I
time.
don't
if that was the
understand. I
case.
can't see the car, but there's 8 drivers.
They're all just walking around the garage in overalls, claiming that it's their car, but there's nothing there.
Just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who has donated on Patreon.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for listening and watching us this week.
Yeah.
Hopefully not as much of a shambles as last week's was. Everything should have worked.
Yeah.
Or it certainly seems to have at the moment. Not looking
And
at the
look how
laptop.
nice and professional it looks.
We're
This-
on our way.
this
It's
pro-
happening.
This proves Patreon works.
That is a 3 Legs 4 Wheels t-shirt hanging behind Dan and Chris. It's just not all in view, so you can't see the logo. But we are wearing our badges with pride.
Yeah.
Badge.
Stand up and give us a model, a t-shirt model.
It's cut his head off, but it's got the logo in. That's the important part.
It's the best looking bit as well.
So if
You can buy those, can't you now?
Yeah, we're going to put those. The t-shirts are going to be up for sale on the website in the next week.
Yep.
Just got to find out how much they cost to post.
Yep.
When we do that, they're not going to be expensive. But we'll have those on sale on the website in the next few days.
Yep.
If you want to get in touch, we've got the Facebook page, 3 Legs 4 Wheels. Just search for us on Facebook. We're there. On Twitter at 3 Legs 4 Wheels, and
I'm at a total shunt.
At Flood21.
That's Danbert.
Yeah.
at Pablo 100.
Yeah.
We do an extra podcast most weeks for all the Patreon subscribers. So if you go to patreon.com and search for 3 Legs 4 Wheels, you can find us there. There's an extra show, there's extra rewards as well. And if you want to be old school and drop us an email, it's 3legs4wheels@gmail.com.
Also, I think there's still a week left, maybe 2 weeks, to vote for us in the British Podcast Awards.
Yes, the British Podcast Awards. We'll dig the link out and we'll post that up
Yeah.
as well. I think it's 11 more days. It's the 28th.
Quick appeal to people because I found out that there's a podcast that's going in for this as well called the Retro Hour, which is a retro gaming podcast. And they said on their podcast the other day what their listener figures are. And we get 3 times the amount of listeners that they get. And they said if everyone on their Twitter, if one of their listeners voted, it would probably put them in the top 10. So we get like fucking 3 or 4 times more listeners than they do.
Right.
So if you all vote, there's actually a chance with our numbers that we could fucking win it.
That'd be interesting.
So if you can all do it, it would mean quite a lot.
It
Please
would.
do.
But thank you so much to everyone.
Think
who's
of it
voted
like
for
you're
us
breaking
already.
the system as well.
No, Breaking the System's your conspiracy theories podcast, which you don't let anyone hear on the internet. You just beam it straight into their heads.
if somebody
That's
hadn't-
what he wants you to think.
if someone hadn't already done it, there was a wrestler did a conspiracy podcast called "It's All a Work," and that's the best podcast name ever.
We'll be back next week.
Just before we go,
Oh.
want to wish a quick and full recovery to British Formula 4 driver Billy Munger, who had
Oh,
a
yeah,
horrific
absolutely.
crash at Donington on Sunday.
Yes. Great work by the marshals and the medical staff in getting him from the car and getting him to the air ambulance.
Yeah.
But get well soon, Billy.
Yes,
I'm sure
absolutely.
the whole of the F1 community, drivers, teams, fans.
Yeah.
Says on all your tickets, motorsport is dangerous. So
Any,
that's
anybody
exactly
with a bit of
why.
a soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think everyone wishes him
Even
well.
me. And I only borrow a soul now and again.
WTF. Thanks very much for listening.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye,
Bye.
bye, bye.
Bye.
Look into my eyes and I can borrow your soul.